This storm will kill you.
Look! I'm telling you! You know what I mean,
But if
folks?
rich people aren't looking out for us, who is?
It makes no difference which one of us you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed.
You're listening to the Our Take Podcast with Brian Sherman.
He had a full head, all the way till the end. It was white, and I was hoping to get that. I was hoping to get, like, the full head, and it was really hard to cut it off.
And Spencer Rogers.
To be a good pilot, you have to be able to make good decisions, and I know what my credit score is, so I know I don't make good decisions.
This is the Our Take Podcast.
From Scary Parrot Media Studios in Ogden, Utah, it's the Our Take Podcast, episode 127. I'm Brian.
I'm Spencer.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It is May the 29th. On this day in history, Olusegun Obasanjo wins Nigeria's first free election in 16 years in 1999.
Wow.
The former Nigerian army general and military ruler oversaw a democratization process that defines the country's political system to the present day. Hope I said your name right.
And tomorrow is Memorial Day. And last year I remember discussing how people in Utah here go and...
Go to the lake?
No, they go to the funeral,
The cemetery?
That's the one.
Wait, why did you bring that up?
Because they go put flowers on everyone's graves, but it's supposed to be for veterans who have died in battle or died in war.
That's true. I remember talking about this. But
It's
then
fine.
But then we discussed there's a Veterans Day.
Yeah, but that's
for
for
living
veterans,
veterans.
veterans, or all veterans. This is specifically for people who died in service of their country. But they go and put flowers on Grandma Joe, who never shot a gun in her life.
Listen.
I'm just joking. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't matter. I
Grandma
can't
Joe-
be mad at you for celebrating your loved one's life. But I'm just saying, think about a past military person while you're there.
Think about a dead veteran.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, what?
I know. That's I don't know. It's not just a dead veteran. It's someone who died in service of their country.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. There should be a word for that. Is there a word for that?
Dead veteran. No, I don't know.
Like a fallen...
There probably is.
There's gotta
Oh
be
yeah, don't they?
not a veteran who died otherwise. Someone who was serving in the military when they died, or they died because
Gold
of their
Star in the Gold Star family or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
man.
I think you're right.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Huh?
on this day in history also,
What? There's got to be a word for that, right?
there has to be.
Okay.
Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay conquered Mount Everest in 1953. The first successful ascent of the world's highest mountain came after Tom Bertolone and Charles Evans had come within 100 meters of the summit just 3 days before.
Wah, wah.
That sucks, dude. Oh, can you imagine? 100 meters, and you're like, no, we're going to die. And then 3 days later, you pass the guys. You're going down, they're coming up.
What's that Family Guy?
Yeah.
When are they going to install the elevator? Oh,
it's
man.
good stuff.
Speaking of the elevator, no, bad transition. I
Space
believe
elevator.
last time you get. Wait. Was my gauntlet built last time?
Yeah. I don't know if we showed it, though.
Oh,
For anybody
okay.
who wants to look on YouTube.
all right.
me
Yeah, it's
grab it.
built, and it's not snapping. It is. This particular pose I put it in. It is flipping the middle finger.
Yeah. Flipping the middle finger post-snap
Yeah.
would be appropriate.
Oh,
This
yeah.
I got this for Spencer for his birthday.
Yeah. This is
And-
a pretty fun build.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
I can't wait till you get the lighting kit
Oh yeah, I forgot about
to
that.
light up the
Wonder if you have to like
Infinity Stones.
disassemble it and like.
You have to take the whole thing apart. Oh, shit.
Oh, you broke it.
The thing came off.
One of the stones?
No,
Oh,
The,
it doesn't matter.
the
I
placard.
can still snap it without the placard. Speaking of snapping and terrible things,
Ah,
so last time we had was it Josiah? Was it
Yeah.
that long ago?
yeah,
So I had just come from the doctor, right?
right. Your back is broken.
And I had a
Spinal.
fracture in my spine, and I had developed an ulcer because of all the ibuprofen I'd taken, and I didn't know I had a fracture in my spine that was causing the. Anyway, I'm going to a specialist for that because anyway, so a few days after that episode, the doctor called me and was like, "Hey, we got your tests, your blood work back. You have diabetes.
Great news over the
You need to
phone.
come back." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So add that to my list. So it is the reversible kind, though. I just need to stop being so fat and out of shape. And I went to a nutritionist.
Ah,
Which,
how was that?
I don't know. It was fine there, but thinking back on it, I'm angry.
You know, so after my dad's pancreatitis, he got diabetes because his pancreas isn't working anymore.
Right.
And he went to a dietitian just a few months ago, like, what is this, 2.5 years after,
Uh-huh.
and he was pissed
Why?
at everything that this dietitian told him that his doctor didn't
Oh.
about how to live with diabetes.
Oh, yeah. Doctors don't tell you
Yeah.
anything. I mean, she gave me a lot of good info, but in hindsight, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to eat anything ever. It's kind of upsetting. It's like, do you like oatmeal? I was like, yeah, instant oatmeal. No, no. Just the raw, straight you know.
She meant oats as a meal,
Yeah.
not oatmeal.
Just put some water on it, let it sit overnight. It's literally what she said.
Yeah. No, you can't heat it up.
Yeah.
You can't heat it up.
You
It
can
changes
put some
the-
fruit in there if you want, but
Yeah. Only
you know.
only weird fruit though.
Do you like beans? Like, sure. Well, you're gonna want to eat a lot of beans.
So how has your diet changed?
Well, here's the thing. I have been I went to that nutritionist, and then that very day was a retirement party for someone at work, and it was a potluck, and
Of course.
man, the funeral potatoes somebody brought were just so freaking good.
Right.
And then there were so many leftovers that we had it for lunch the next day. and then I went out of town on a trip for a week, and it was hard. And then as soon as I got back, I had to go on another trip. And so it's finally, I'm going to go shopping probably tonight or tomorrow and get my beans and my
This
oats.
is like it's such great anecdotal evidence of how difficult it really is though.
Right.
You know, like it really is hard. Like let's say you wanted to go on this type of diet, change the way you eat. It should be easier to go out of town
But
and eat healthy
it's-
than it is.
I looked. Like, I kind of gave up after the first day because I was like, there's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing really that, I mean, there's things that are maybe slightly better,
Yeah.
but it's still terrible for you.
It's hard to find. It's generally more expensive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just the bad foods are everywhere. So it's just
Right.
Yeah. It's
Right.
really good evidence.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So, post all of that, when I got back from my trip, I have another appointment scheduled, and this has been my favorite appointment so far. And it was an MRI for my back. Have you ever had an MRI?
No, I've had a CAT scan. So that's
What is it? What is a CAT scan?
a CAT scan's just a really strong X-ray.
Oh,
So
okay.
it doesn't have the loud magnets and
Okay.
like chunk that the MRI
Okay.
has.
Well, they ask you a bunch of questions, and one of them is, "Are you claustrophobic?" No, I'm fine.
Yeah. Not if I can move my arms.
This is this is probably the third worst thing to ever happen to me.
Being in an
Having
MRI
an
tube.
MRI.
Yeah.
It was so awful, and I'm fat, and I blame my doctor for not sending me to the zoo.
Was your stomach touching the top of the
Dude.
tube?
Yes, I couldn't move. Like, it was so tight that because the bottom moves you occasionally.
Right.
Like, my arms were stuck to the sides, and, and to get out, I was like wiggling. Like,
Oh,
it was
man.
so terrible.
I was watching that reminds me of these TikToks I was watching of like spelunking, caving these guys.
Oh,
I don't know why I did it. It was like I was flooding a phobia to try and get over it. So I'm watching these and my blood pressure's rising, my pulse is. So that's probably what it was like for you.
well, I started thinking about things I had never thought of before. I'm in there and I'm like, oh, this must be what it's like to be buried alive. And I'm like, stop, stop thinking about that. My heart rate's going up. Like,
Do they talk to you?
no,
They didn't say.
It's too freaking
Oh,
loud.
that's true. It is really loud.
You do have a thing you can squeeze to tell for them to
like
talk to
abort.
you. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just a yeah, so they can say, hey, you're right. You know.
They
It
should
w-
give you like a Valium or something.
Well, that's what Ethan said after. He's like, you didn't ask for a I'm like, no, I
Oh,
didn't
really?
freaking know, man.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be that tight.
MRIs are amazing.
Sure.
I've
They were all, it was, yeah, I haven't seen the end result.
I had a neuro professor teach us how they worked.
Uh-huh.
And the point of his lesson wasn't about the neurology,
Uh-huh.
it was or the neuroscience. It was about like all the different avenues of science that had to come together to build an MRI.
Well, they need to come together to build a bigger, less noisy
bigger
one. Well, when I left, the guy was like, "You didn't ask for the bigger one." Like, there's a
There's
bigger
a bigger one. What the?
Like, yeah, doctor should have. What, your doctor has seen that you're a big fat ass and should have asked for the bigger one.
Oh man, yeah. Like I don't know. I won't teach you how they work. It's crazy though.
I don't know. It was noisy and terrible, and I fear ever having to do it again.
So I had an experience.
Okay.
I was hanging out with Danny last Thursday, and the next day we went to Jake's Over the Top, got a shake. There's some drinks.
Is this before the movie?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. This is two.
2 Thursdays.
Two
ago.
Thursdays
I
ago.
guess it has been a while.
And the next day I got the screaming shits, like the worst diarrhea I've ever had.
Oh.
Every like couple hours.
See,
But I didn't feel sick. It was just like
that's the best kind.
I'd feel the urge to go, and it would be liquid.
Huh.
So
I don't hate that.
no, I don't mind it because I'd rather not feel sick, but.
I mean, it gets everything out.
But then you're troubled, right? You're troubled, like, what's going on? Am I going to start feeling sick? You know?
Yeah.
So I text Danny. I said, hey, are you okay? Maybe it was Jake's, and he's like, no, I'm fine. And so I started to get kind of nauseous towards the end of the day. I took a bath. Didn't help. Usually that helps. Didn't help.
What, you didn't have any incidents?
No, I didn't. But it gets good. This gets really good, okay? So that night, I'm like, I'm just gonna go to bed. It was like 9:30 or 10. And so I go to bed, and I woke up with what reminded me of the anxiety throw-ups that I have.
Okay.
Just in my stomach, kind of. It felt like anxiety. And I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. I really don't want to. It means I have to take my CPAP off. And Quinn and Ashley are watching a movie on the couch downstairs. It's still not that late.
Well, you went to bed pretty early.
I went to bed pretty early, but so I woke up. It was like, I don't know, maybe 10:30 or 11.
Uh-huh.
And like, I'm gonna throw up. So I have to kind of like amp myself up because I don't want to throw up in the hall.
Right.
So I'm like, I have to get ready, know that I have enough air to like hold my breath if I need to. So I kind of quickly, not jog, but quickly walk downstairs. And the reason I go downstairs is because Oliver's asleep, and I didn't want to wake him up with my retching, right?
You just wanted your awake wife and daughter to have to hear it.
And I
That's really
knew,
considerate of you.
right? And I knew as I'm walking in, I'm like, if I heave, I'm gonna shit my pants.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I sat on the toilet, which I've done often.
Yeah, you definitely should have stayed upstairs right next to the bathtub.
So no, I just sat on the toilet and grabbed the garbage can.
All right.
And I was like, here it comes.
Because I can tell you that having a toilet with a shower in front of it, my last residence, was actually great once. It was really like, I should do this more often. Like, it was-
right, just goes the right direction.
Right.
So I heave, and I had a lot of Gatorade because I knew I was probably getting dehydrated. So all this Gatorade came out.
Right.
But the last thing I remember is heaving, and then
Oh,
Ashley is
no.
waking me up. I fell against the side wall of my
freaking
bathroom.
Pulled an Elvis.
Yeah, fell against the wall, passed out, and I woke up, and she was obviously kind of upset, but she knew that I was feeling sick, and I felt great, like endorphins. I was like, oh, I'm better, Nevertheless, there's something wrong with my body. I'm going to go back to bed, right? So go back to bed. I brush my teeth or whatever, and she brings me a bowl so that if I have to throw up in the bed, I can just do,
Right.
2 hours later, wake up again. Not so much a throw up feeling, but like I gotta go sit on the toilet.
Right.
And I make it out my bedroom, and the next thing I know, she's waking me up. I'm on the floor in the hallway.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, and I can't move. I'm like, I weigh like 400 or 500 pounds. I'm on my side, so my head is like cocked to the side and just drilled into the ground. Like I feel so heavy. And she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Well, no, I don't necessarily feel that sick, but I cannot move. I don't know what's wrong, And I'm like, it's maybe dehydrated. I don't know. I said, call my dad. She's taking care of the baby. I'm like, call my dad, tell him to come up, and he can assess whether or not what should happen here, So she gets like a pillow and puts my legs up, and The whole time, I bet you I was on the floor for like an hour. I couldn't move, and I felt like I was like, I gotta take a shit, but I can't move.
You didn't partake of any like
no. No. So my dad gets up there and he sits with me for a few minutes. He's like, yeah, we may as well just go to the hospital and they can give you some fluids at least, if you're that dehydrated. And so I sit there for a few more minutes. I'm like, I can't move. And my dad can't carry me. He probably could, but I'm not going to make him try to carry me out down the stairs.
Oh, I know how you are with your dad. No, Dad, don't carry me, but my arms are right here. If you want to pull me up.
I got these straps attached for you. No, so he's like, let's go. So I said, okay, let me try and crawl to the toilet real quick just before we go. Get up there, nothing comes out, whatever. We get to the hospital. He wheels me in on a wheelchair, and whatever, they triage me, and it's actually pretty slow. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, and there was no one in. I was pleasantly surprised, And I guess it's common if you're youngish and a man that they check you for a heart attack. So they're like, we're going to give you an EKG. Adam will come get you in a minute. They wheel me over into the waiting area. My dad comes back in after he parked the car. I said, first, I need a barf bag because I can't move and I feel like I'm going to throw up again. And second, I don't know if I'm going to make it in this chair. Like, I feel like I'm going to fall out of this chair. I'm going to pass out again. Like, I feel like I'm going to pass out again. Have you ever passed out?
Yeah.
So you feel that, like, heat rush go to the top of your head, and you're like, this is it,
Yeah.
So I started to feel that again, and the guy giving me the EKG comes out. He's like, hey, we're going to go give you this. I'm like, hey, thank you. Just so you know, I feel like I'm going to fall out of this chair. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I was slurring my words because he just ended up just starting to wheel me. Like, he just kind of ignored me. And it was a hospital wheelchair. And when you lean forward and the seat kind of tilts up, so you like slide out of them. And so I was like, I'm going to pass out.
That seems like a design flaw.
I know. I don't know. It was weird. I was like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So I just pushed my butt all the way forward so I could put my feet flat on the ground and rest my head against the back of the wheelchair. And I was labored breathing for the whole, it wasn't in there long, 4 or 5 minutes that he was giving me an EKG, put, leads all over my body and just ran it for a couple heartbeats. But I was like, my breathing was like, afterwards I told my dad, I'm like, that was not voluntary, just so you know. I don't know what was wrong with me in that moment, So they get me in a bed, get me some anti-nausea IV and a bunch of saline and whatever to rebalance my electrolytes. And I immediately felt quite a bit better, but they kept me there for a few hours. And doctor's like, has this happened to you before? I'm like, yeah, I've passed out before from vageling, when I got that strep test or.
That's why you thought of this, was that clip I played
exactly.
just a minute ago. Here it is.
Don't ever bear down too hard. You might vagal. This is what happened to me. So you got the vagus nerve that you pinch in your back and it makes you pass out. So anyway, he's like, that's probably what happened. We'll get you some more fluids though, and we'll send you home with some Zofran, some anti-nausea, like sublingual things, They actually work really well, by the way. And I called, I just started a new med. I went and saw a psychiatrist. And so I started a new med on top of all the other ones I'm taking. And I was telling my dad that. He took pictures of all the bottles, and he's like, I wonder if this is like a serotonin syndrome, which is when you have get too much serotonin from meds, right? Kind of matches the symptoms, but then I asked the doctor at the ER, and he's like, yeah, I don't think so. I think you just got a bug of some sort. And you got so dehydrated from.
Do you think that doctors, because I feel like, because we all WebMD stuff now, and the doctor never says that's what it is.
No, it's true.
They're like, no, it's probably not that. It's this other thing. Like,
it's true.
Right, doctor, if you say so.
I think it depends on the doctor, but obviously I had that experience with my dad with his pancreatitis as well, where I argued with the doctor about getting a GI consult.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying I know what it is, but can we get a gastroenterologist in here? So anyway, he takes me home, and I go sleep, and I'm just tired for like 3 days. I don't go to work the next. So that was a Friday night. Saturday, I basically sleep all day. Sunday was a little bit better. Monday, I took off work. And so this was, more than a week ago, right? Yeah. So I asked Ethan, because he's my primary care, and he's like, I don't think so. He looked at some drug interactions. He's like, that new med doesn't work on serotonin, so it wouldn't, you know. And the other ones you're on, you'd have to be on way higher doses for that to be an issue. So obviously I'm still taking it and I don't have any issues. But then the past couple days, Oliver, my 10-month-old son, has been like super sleepy. Like when usually his naps are like an hour, 2 on a really good day, you know. He slept on me yesterday. I started watching Severance on HBO. Or on, I can't remember what it's on.
You should just wait for the next season.
I'm already almost through it. But he slept on me for like 3-4 episodes. I was like, well, he must be.
You were like waking up, like, hey, oh, this is good. What are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And he got a fever, and I had a little bit of a fever, and then today he got like really bad diarrhea and threw up, and I was like, dude, he has the same thing that I had. It's super weird. Like it's just a little stomach bug. So, anyway, that's my ER story.
Wait, so have you ruled out like
monkeypox?
No, like a gas leak or like
Well, Ashley and Quinn are fine.
maybe they're immune to gas.
I mean, I have carbon monoxide detectors all over the house.
What is that other thing that sounds made up? That
Oh, radon?
yeah,
I have to check.
sounds
it.
like something from Star Trek. Oh, Captain, radon's leaking from the warp core.
It is. I think it isn't radon from like radiation from the ground or something.
I don't know.
It's something
Like
weird
I said,
that.
it sounds made up, but apparently it's important.
Anyway, so
I don't like how this story doesn't have a good.
Well,
I was really hoping for like a. Turns out I have AIDS. Like I don't want.
no, I feel fine. You know, I followed up with Ethan. The best part is that IHC keeps trying to give me a survey. You know, like how was your visit? How did things go? I'm like, I will answer any survey you want after I get my bill. You know, and dude, the charge nurse came in at the end of my visit, and she's like, you know, we like to make sure that everything went well for you here. Is there anybody that you'd like to recognize for going above and beyond? I'm like,
My dad.
yeah, he did. He stayed with me all night. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, you can go home. I was like, are you eliciting, you're soliciting a positive response
Of course,
from
that's
me?
all people do now.
She's like, is there anyone you'd like to recognize, like your nurse or your doctor? I'm like, I mean, I guess my nurse did a fine job. Like, I don't know what. And while I was in there, by the way, crazy car accident. I read about it. My dad sent me the article the next day. 16 and 17-year-olds, 5 of them in a car
oh yeah,
Did you see
fleeing
this?
police.
in Ogden,
Yeah,
and
they hit a pole.
hit a pole. And so right as I get there, right after as the doctor's assessing me, they get the call from the ambulance like we're getting 2 trauma ones. And those kids, one of them was screaming for like an hour.
Oh, you heard all of it.
Yeah,
Huh?
like moaning and screaming. I felt so bad for him.
Well,
like,
his friends just died.
well, and I'm sure he was in just a shit ton of pain.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, they came in. The nurse was like, just so you know, we got a couple traumas coming. We might not see you for a bit. I'm like, it's fine as long as I have.
These surveys are getting ridiculous.
It is, man.
I got a
Like,
survey from I can't remember who it was from the other day, and it's like, hey, will you take 8 minutes to take a survey? Like 8 minutes.
That's a long ass.
What do you are you gonna pay me? Right? You're gonna give me $15 or something? Like 8 minutes?
Right.
My God.
No, four, maybe 5 questions.
Well,
You know.
they're only 4 or 5. They're just really long questions. Like,
They're like they're word problems.
they're basically If Jimmy's on a train going west at 90 miles per hour, and it's how was your service?
one of those you don't read all the way.
Yeah.
How many apples did he have? I thought we started on a train.
I don't know, man. Who cares? That's to every word problem. There were multiple times when I wrote, "Who cares?" Why is that not an answer?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So my I had to go to Chicago what week are we on? Last 2 weeks have kind of
I
flown.
know.
This week, I guess it was Monday, I went to Chicago to take some video and pictures for Sky West. And we were there for 2 days. And on our way home, we had a really hard time getting out. We had to buy tickets. And not on our, anyway.
Right.
Uh,
You had to expense them.
right.
Yeah.
And which is not. That's how bad it was. That's like last resort kind of.
Is this because of the pilot thing?
yeah, they're canceling. I don't know what's going on, man. It's freaking crazy.
On the way over here on NPR.
right.
I'm sorry. This place, like, they said they canceled 1,200 flights today.
Yeah, everybody's canceling flights, and they're saying it's because of Rona, but it's actually more because of pilot shortages.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're hard up for pilots. We're hard up for captains, and because the big airlines are taking our captains, like we just had someone. So to go to become a captain, you have to go through like a couple weeks of ground school, and then IOE or in what does IOE stand for? Something experience. Anyways, it's a long, expensive process, for the airline to pay for. We just had one of our people in Salt Lake get taken after 7 hours being a captain. So that's 7 flight hours, and they're like, "Yeah, that's enough." United was like, "Sure, yeah, come on."
Like, that could be one flight.
Yeah, because the majors won't take you until you're captain typically, and
Gotcha.
so no, that was one trip. That was
Yeah.
1 day's worth of.
Wow.
Anyway, and so we're having a hard time keeping captains, and they're having a hard time, but getting first or their new pilots because
Right.
we don't have any.
Well, this was Delta that was on the radio.
Yeah, Delta's
Crazy.
Delta has been super weird. For example, we were in Chicago, and we were like, we may have to go up to Minneapolis to get out.
Yeah.
And there were about 5 flights from Minneapolis to here. And I looked the night before at like 8 o'clock, and there were 40, 50, 60, 30, a bunch of open seats on all these different flights. I'm like, oh yeah, we could definitely get out of there. And then I looked the next morning, and it's like -1, 0. I'm like, what is happening? That does not happen.
And their PR department tried to make it sound like this happens every day. We just have some air traffic issues.
Yeah, well, there's a ton of factors, and it has been happening every day, but it's
Right.
not
Not normal though.
yeah, it's not normal. Anyway, so we finally get out. It's 7 o'clock, 7:15, and I'm on a Delta flight. I probably shouldn't say the name of the company because I'm about to just. Anyway, and we board the plane, and I'm in a middle seat, which I'm so fat. I hate being in a middle seat. I'm not going to complain too much, but I hate it passionately.
I don't think anybody likes being in a middle
No,
seat.
you're right. You're right. And at least this time, the people next to me were nice, thin, and trim.
Right.
On my way there was a guy next to me that smelt like a bar and seemed like he was inebriated, but I don't
Probably.
know.
He probably has like
He kept
flight
talking a lot
anxiety.
about Chicago, and it was really weird. And then the nice lady next to me was twice my size. My size.
Wow.
Twice my size. And I'm a 300-pound man.
Yeah, how'd she fit?
I don't know. She wasn't probably twice my size. She was a biggin. She
Yeah.
was big, and we were overflowing together. we kind of merged.
By the end, you're like
Yeah.
all sweaty and
Yeah.
sticky.
Anyway, but so and I made the mistake of bringing my bag instead of checking it. So it was one of my bags was under my seat, and so I didn't have a lot of room.
Can't fully extend.
So we board the plane, and I don't know for the life of me why they did this. But we get on, everyone's boarded, and the pilot comes on and is like, "Hey, there's a mechanical issue. We're going to be able to fix it, but it's probably going to take an hour." I'm like, "What? You knew this already.
Why did you let
Why
us
did you
board?
let us
Right.
board?
Right.
Like, why did you do this?"
So did they?
No, we sat there, and luckily it only took about 30 minutes. He's like, "Hey, good news." So we door closes, we get going on the taxiway. Pilot gets back on. He's like, "Hey, so because that maintenance thing didn't take that long, we're going to have to wait for some weather, and we're going to have to reroute the flight."
Oh
So we sit on the
gosh.
runway for an hour, or the taxiway for an hour.
And you going to a different destination now?
No, we're just we have to reroute
Oh, I
like
see.
around the
Okay.
weather because there was a
Oh,
huge
okay.
storm, which so
Can you just go higher?
So so the week before, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but the week before I went tornado chasing
Right.
and pretty much struck out the whole time. On my way to my gate, my phone goes off. I'm like, what the hell? And it's like tornado warning for Chicago. And I go out and I look out the window and there's a freaking wall cloud
Yeah.
right by the airport, and it's twisting around. I'm
Oh
like,
man.
like- I could have just waited.
Yeah.
It didn't drop, but anyway, so there was bad weather in the area. So we finally go, and it's bumpy, and the pilot's like, "Hey, we're gonna have to delay service. We can't let the flight attendants out because of how bumpy it is." And I'm like, I'm freaking thirsty. I forgot to grab my
Wait.
my.
You're in the air,
Yeah, we're in the air finally.
and they're gonna just let the flight attendants, meaning they have to stay seated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm dying of thirst. I forgot that I have a drink in my bag that I put above, and I'm like, I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna be that guy.
Yeah, and it's bumpy. I don't want to hit the
Right.
top of the plane. And so, we get halfway through the flight, and finally the flight attendants are out and about. And when they get up to me, I'm like, can I just have 3 glasses of water? And she starts giving it to me like, oh.
You're like freaking Jim Carrey
Yeah, man.
on Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah. And so the rest of the flight's fine, except for I'm in the middle seat. Then we get to the airport, and I don't know what was going on, but there were the two pilots, both were captains. They both had 4 bars,
Okay.
which I've never seen before. So my thought is that one of them was transitioning types to a different type of aircraft.
So it's like he can't just take over. He needs to do
I-
like a co-captain.
Right.
Okay.
So he's moving from a 737 to this A220, which I'm obsessed with this plane. It's just a pretty plane. Anyway, and that's my only thought. And the reason I think this is because we landed so hard that my back hurt the next day.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
never been on a flight where it's just like.
Yep, that's the ground.
Now I have a video here that I'm going to illustrate to you,
Okay.
kind of what happened. Let me send you this. Now, I think this guy may have been a Navy pilot. All right,
He
and
was
I'm
he
gonna
trying to hit the cable?
what this video shows is the difference between an Air Force pilot and a Navy pilot.
Okay, hang
All
on a
right.
sec. Let me get this shared over to the screen here.
Well, I got a lot going on our screens there.
Yeah. All right. Do I need sound?
No.
Okay.
So the first plane here, this is same runway. They're both at Nellis Air Force Base in Las
So
Vegas.
who's the first? This is Air
This
Force.
is an F-16 from the Air Force landing in.
Just nice little. Okay, soft. Just barely. Okay.
See how nice
Just
that was?
tiny little smoke from the wheels.
All right, now the next one is an F-18, a Navy F-18, landing at the same base.
Oh my gosh!
And that is how they are trained to land.
Slammed
That was
into it.
not like an unusual landing. That is how they are trained to land from day one because of the way they land on aircraft
Right.
carriers. And it's not smooth. It's just,
Right.
and the planes are built with reinforced landing gear, and it's
Right.
not. But that right there is how that guy landed in this Delta
He
flight.
probably was. He was.
And I was just like, and it's bad, okay? When the whole plane is like, oh, Jesus! Oh! I mean, I'm not the only one in there. Everyone was like, oh!
You just fractured your back again.
It was insane.
You got to start recording landings.
I'm not even exaggerating is the worst part, man. It was so insane.
Did they address it?
No.
He didn't say like.
As
sorry
I was
about
walking out, I was like, was that your first landing? And I felt like a total dick after. And he's like, oh, no, it's my second. And I was like, okay, well.
that. He went home and cried.
Maybe work on it.
Is that your first landing? You fucking idiot.
Dude, I've been on hundreds of flights at this point, and I've never had the whole plane like screaming agony.
Oh man. Was there like a bustle afterwards? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, kind of. And then as the final fuck you to this flight, you've been to the new airport, right?
Yeah.
And you've been to the B gates
Right.
and how they're
Like
just
4
so
miles
far away.
Yeah.
Now, this is a Delta flight, and Delta owns the A terminals. And almost all Delta flights go to this terminal. And as we're taxiing in, Captain gets on, we're going to be pulling into B6 today. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How is this possible?
Have
So
you
then
seen
I
the-
took a 10-mile walk back to
Right.
my car.
Have you seen the people wearing like rollerblades in the airport now?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Man.
I've also seen Salt Lake's ad campaign where they catch people like entering the airport asking, "Oh yeah, this airport's so pretty, it's so great, it's easy." I really want them to take that camera crew and go to the end of the B gate and get their second reaction. What the hell? What the hell?
Just
What the hell in the hell?
Make this as long as possible.
And you know what? The moving sidewalks, and this has also been like proven, they're slower than all the other moving sidewalks.
They are slow.
And I realized that the people they were keeping up with
Yeah.
me.
No, you can keep up just
They-
at a normal
They were actually ahead of me at one point.
at a normal pace. People keep up. It's the type that you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything unless you walk with it.
Yeah, but even then they're still keeping up. And I'm like, how is this possible?
Oh man.
Anyway, it was it was not a great flight.
That's funny.
But speaking of the Navy,
Yeah.
um
In the Navy.
yeah, I learned where did I even hear this at? So you remember the movie Pearl Harbor
Yes.
with Ben Affleck, directed by Michael Bay, obviously, because it's explosion-y.
Yeah. I actually didn't know that was directed by Michael Bay. I mean, I never really thought about it.
Yeah, South Park wrote a whole song about it.
Hmm.
Why does Michael Bay get to keep on making movies? It's great. It's a great song. So there's Cuba Gooding in that movie plays somebody named Doris Miller. Who?
What's the NBA woman's name?
What?
When I saw this note in the rundown, Doris Miller
Oh,
and Doris Burke. It's like,
that's Doris is actually Doris Barnes is my grandma's name. So.
when I saw the rundown, I'm like, oh, he's going to talk about the NBA.
Oh, the girl is that the one stuck in?
No. Doris Burke is like a commentator,
Oh,
like on the court commentator.
it's one of my favorite family. That's what have you seen the Family Guy where they're commentating the WNBA?
Yeah.
They're like, that's why she commands a $26,000 a year salary.
I have something about that later. We're going to talk about the WNBA.
Anyway, so Doris Miller was a United States Navy cook. He was kind of relegated to being a cook because of his skin color, which was black,
Yeah,
like
right.
Cuba Gooding.
Get just a little cameo, a boxing cameo, right?
Yeah, it was boxing, and then when the attack happened on Pearl Harbor, he, what he was on? I think he was on. Oh, come on, what ship was it? It was obviously one of the ones that was just totally.
The Utah.
I want to say Arizona, but that can't be right. Oh, West Virginia.
Okay.
And he, he was killed aboard an escort carrier. Oh, I didn't know that. Anyway, so he got on the guns because people had been shot and killed, and he got on the guns, and he started shooting down Zeros. And he got, I believe he got the Medal of Honor. Should have read about this more.
He did. He awarded the Navy Cross, the highest decoration for
Right.
valor.
And because of this,
After the Medal of Honor.
Cuba Gooding Jr. is getting a battleship named after an aircraft carrier named after him.
Wait, it's being named.
Yeah, the USS Cuba Gooding Jr.
Shut up.
So, CVN 81 is a scheduled Gerald R. Ford class aircraft, which is our newest aircraft carriers. He's getting an aircraft carrier named after him. And he
Our
is,
newest aircraft carriers are named after a president who never won an election. They're named after Ford, who was never elected.
I don't know. I don't name the carriers.
He was elected to the House of Representatives, took over the vice presidency.
Hey, can we focus on Doris Miller here?
Why are our brand new
Listen.
aircraft carriers named after Gerald Ford?
I don't know, because they had nothing else to give him.
And why did it take almost 100 fucking years to name something after Doris Miller?
Okay, so Anyway,
sorry.
Doris
I'm
Miller
sorry.
is getting a aircraft carrier named after him, and he is, I believe, the first enlisted person to have an aircraft carrier named after them,
Oh, interesting.
which is good because, frankly, people in authority get way too much credit. They don't do anything except say, hey, go do this, and then
mean-
people like Doris Miller.
This poor guy, dude. Like, he's a hero in 1941, and then dies in 1943.
Yeah.
In the same war. That's just
Right. Pretty
sucks.
crazy.
Well, good for Doris that he's finally being remembered.
Quick trivia here. CVN 81 is scheduled, and I doubt it will be, to be commissioned in 2032. What?
Wait, the ship they're naming after him won't be done until 2032?
Yeah, man. These
10
These
years?
ships are taking forever.
10 years?
Yeah.
Didn't they build Freedom Tower?
I don't think they haven't started it yet. They just announced who it's being.
Oh, jeez,
Anyway,
man.
do you know what the ship before him, CVN 80, is going to be named?
No, I have no idea.
It's a good one. You sure you don't want to throw out a guess?
The Dick Van Dyke. I don't know.
It's planned to launch in 2025. The USS CVN 80 USS Enterprise.
Don't we already have an Enterprise?
No, it's been retired. It's been retired for quite a few years
Well,
now.
I know, but we have one.
It's sitting.
Yeah.
It's being.
Is it going to be like the 2? Enterprise 2?
No, they don't do that in the Navy. It's CVN 80. It used to be CVN 65.
Huh.
Enterprise is rotting away somewhere because Enterprise was the first nuclear submarine, aircraft carrier,
Right.
and it you can't tour it or anything because it
Melting
has to
down.
be it has to wait 1,000 years.
Right.
I can't remember where it's somewhere in like Pennsylvania or something, just sitting there.
Hopefully it's in like a landlocked water.
Hopefully.
That's not seeping into the ocean or the groundwater nearby. That's what's wrong with Flint, Michigan, is actually the core from USS Enterprise. It's contaminating the water.
So since we're talking about the Navy and
Yeah.
things we've done recently, we saw Top Gun
Maverick.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not going to talk too much about it. But
He dies.
I'm just going to say I don't know if that happened or not because I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
True.
He
spoiler
doesn't
alert.
die.
He doesn't, yeah. I mean, he might.
God, you just... I don't know.
He dies eventually.
I guess.
It might not be.
Ugh.
It might be in this movie. It might be in another one. You know, I'm talking about Tom Cruise here.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, you...
Yeah, I'm not talking about Maverick. Just
Right.
talking about Tom
Okay.
Cruise.
Anyway.
He died during the filming.
Really?
No,
No, because he had a message beforehand.
he recorded that. Before.
That Cinemark's pro come to the movies, don't watch them at home agenda.
Right.
God, like
Only
4
in
commercials in a
theaters.
row. You need to come to the theater, or else the movie is not the same.
Well, have you noticed that?
Blah, 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 blah.
Have you noticed that like every trailer ends in that now, like only in theaters?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, eventually it'll be on HBO.
Right? What did you think about the movie?
I liked it. Thought it was good. Thought it was as good as the first one.
All right.
You?
It was all right. It was good. Unpopular opinion.
I thought it had good sequences. I thought.
Oh, of course. All the airplane stuff was great.
Like I thought they did a good
The
job.
dialogue was so terrible and cheesy. I guess they were trying to make it an 80s movie, which is fine. That's what it is. It is what it is.
I didn't really pick up on it.
Yeah, it's because you don't. You just like
not
you're like
it's true. I'm
you're like
not
a
critic.
puppy dog in movies. Like, I'm just happy to be here.
I'm not really a critic of movies, but
You know what? People who love the first one will want to marry this one. If you like, it's the next step.
I mean, it's true. It did play on nostalgia more than on the
which I love nostalgia. It's like
right. It played on more on nostalgia
speaking
than
of
it did anything
nostalgia,
else. But
have you watched Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
no,
Oh my gosh!
not since I was.
No, but there's a movie
Oh no,
that just came out. It's like
a cartoon.
best movie Disney's ever made. Not even joking.
Is it a Disney? Is that a Disney brand?
Yeah.
Chippendale. Oh,
It was part of the Disney Afternoon.
I didn't. You know, I don't remember a Disney afternoon.
Oh my gosh! You didn't watch like Darkwing Duck and Tailspin and
I did, but I don't
and-
remember
and
having.
Tell.
Clearly, the Disney branding didn't work on me.
what was the Scrooge DuckTales? A lot of duck.
DuckTales.
A lot of duck
Tailspin.
action.
Yeah. DuckTales.
You know what? Baloo and Tailspin, he flew the sea duck. Man, Disney has a really pro duck
They got
agenda.
a thing with ducks and mice.
Anyway, so in Top Gun, as in the first one, the enemy is really ambiguous.
Remind me, Danny and I were talking about this. In the first one, though, isn't there at some point? Aren't there like subtitles, or you can hear them, the dialogue of the enemy pilot,
I thought so.
and they're speaking Russian?
That's what I thought. But everyone in the car home was like, you couldn't tell who it was in the first one, so I just went with it. But
I mean, they
I
do.
swear that it was like kind of established that they were Russian. But
I mean, but in this one, it was even more so.
well, yes and no.
Tinted visors.
So here's the thing, right? If you pay attention to the aircraft of the other side, you get some clues.
Well, okay, which is how the first one is, because they fought MiGs.
right. But listen to this.
Okay.
So there's two slash giveaways. One, that new 5th gen fighter they're flying that is clearly I don't know if it is, but it really resembles Russia's SU 57. It's their new 5th gen plane.
Okay.
The helicopter that is involved is a Russian helicopter. Now, that being said, Russian equipment normally gets spread around all over the region.
Right.
And the reason I say that is because there's only one country that has F-14 Tomcats. And here's your trivia question. All right.
Okay.
What country is it? There's one country.
Besides the United
There
States.
there is an appearance of the F-14 Tomcat in this movie.
Right.
And it is an aggressor. It's held by the enemy, and there is one country that we sold these to in the 70s.
Israel. Or
I said aggressor.
oh,
It is a country that we are at odds with.
Afghanistan. Iran.
Yes.
Yeah.
Iran has a fleet of F-14 Tomcats
Interesting.
that Richard Nixon sold to them.
Tricky Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's Iranians.
It could be in the future, and it's Russia has escalated their war, and Iran's like, hey, let's.
But it's contemporary, like all the.
I know,
you
I know.
So it can't take place in.
I was excited they have F-35s on the flight deck there. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
and that was cool.
It was a good movie.
Anyway,
I recommend seeing it in the theater.
yeah,
For
probably
the,
wouldn't play as well, and
for the all the action scenes.
Danny asked me after if all that stuff was possible in the planes, and I was like, yeah, man. Even that crazy maneuver that Russian plane does.
Iranian.
Or whoever the ambiguous enemy.
Yeah, that was
does.
a cool move.
You can kind of see that when Beowulf, our flight or F-35 pilot, she does kind of stuff like that around here.
That's true. I've seen her do some crazy falls.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it, but
One other, man, we have so much. I'm like a quarter of the way through the first half of the rundown.
it'll be a long one. That's okay.
Now, we'll just skip that, and I'll just go to here. The other day, I had a missing bird I couldn't find. And
I don't know how you keep track of them.
Well, they don't normally go missing.
But how many do you have?
I don't want to say.
It's got to be in the 20s.
It is.
Yeah.
High 20s.
29.
Closer to 30s. But yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. You love your birds,
Well,
but it is like
there was a report on the news the other day about they're like parrot rescue goes into a bird hoarding situation to save a bunch of birds. I was like, oh my god, am I bird hoarding? Am I gonna
totally a
gonna
bird
get
hoarder.
like the freaking the feds in here? Like
yeah.
anyway, so I look all over for this bird, and I eventually see that they've chewed a hole in my drywall.
Wow.
Yeah, and I am
Like
no freaking way.
Like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and I start hitting on the side of the wall, and I hear this bird start screaming, like, oh. So now there's a giant hole in their room where I had to open up my wall to extract this
man.
bird from the drywall.
Didn't have enough clearance to open the wings to fly up.
I don't know if they were stuck or if they were doing it on purpose, but they had to come out. And
Yeah.
now there's a ghetto taped hole with duct tape because, I don't know, what am I going to do? Patch it up and have them do it again?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they cover it with a little poster? The hole? So you couldn't see it?
Sneaky, man.
Or dumping the drywall, the gypsum in the sink.
Oh, you know, I haven't actually seen Shawshank.
Shut up.
I only know everything
Family
from this
Guy?
as a Family Guy. I feel like I basically know the movie.
Yeah, it's such a good show, man.
I
But
just-
yeah, you did
I
get
don't
the
know, I never
gist.
saw it.
Not after CSI.
So, a couple things here before we move on to heavier things. First of all, you know, we always talk about altruistic animals.
Yep.
Did I send you this video?
I don't think so.
We've talked about it already, but just gonna throw it out there that birds aren't the only altruistic animals that we have seen. This one, I'm sure people have probably seen it already.
All right, we have a turtle on its back in water.
Yeah, there's a looks
Flailing.
like a little red-eared slider.
And this is a turtle, not a tortoise.
Right, correct. This is a
Has-
water-based.
It has flippers.
Right.
And it's being surrounded now by, what, it's like 10 or 12.
Of
Oh,
its
that's cool.
friends, and it just flips it over.
Yeah,
They just flip it over. It's kind of nuts. He's just sitting there flailing. I don't know what he would have done if no one would have
he
helped
would have
him.
died.
But they all just come underneath him. Like, seriously, the whole gang of
Yeah.
them here.
They come over and help him flip over.
Now,
I did see a video of a turtle flipping itself over the other day. It looked like a robot.
I've
you know,
also
like
seen a recent one of a tortoise that was rolled over, and another tortoise was flipping him over.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
So I just, what, I mean, that's got to be more than just instinct, right? Like, I don't,
Well, it depends on how. It
I'm
depends
sure
on how far
scientists
you.
would disagree with me, but
It depends on how far you define instinct, right? Because even human altruistic behavior, you could make the argument that that's instinct. That's just evolution.
I suppose.
We wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't work together. You know. So it's I don't know. It's hard. I don't mean to naysay.
No, that's just maybe we should save that for another episode. We can dive into self-awareness and
the
instinct
nature,
and nature.
the nature of altruism, if it is natural at all, because it is. There are altruistic humans that get praise
Right,
for being, like when you see people roll over a car
right.
or something like that, or pull someone from a burning building.
Mm-hmm.
No,
No,
but those
yeah.
are different because you're kind of putting yourself in danger.
That's true. They weren't really risking anything. These
Right.
turtles.
So that doesn't really happen with humans.
So you just proved your
Yeah,
whole.
I guess humans help
Well,
each
I mean,
other.
if I was rolled over.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
natural. What is natural is always a really interesting argument. It's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I think I told you about this in one of my anthro classes. I had this argument with the professor
Right.
about if you know about evolution, you can influence it. I'm like, yeah, but that's just evolution. That's still nature. Just because we know about it doesn't mean that we're changing its course. It is what it is. Its course can never be. Its course is not. Anyway.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. Well, speaking of nature, real quick here. I did go tornado chasing.
Yeah.
Since our last episode.
You
Got
didn't-
together with three other friends.
You didn't get sucked up.
No, we flew into Oklahoma City.
Sorry.
And you're not wrong to be so.
Oklahoma's
You
got
know
some-
what's so weird is I got to the hotel and I gave my Apple card to the guy for my charges or whatever, and he's like, "Your card's declined." I'm like, "Whoa!" And it comes back, and it's like, because you get a message right away. Your wallet
Right.
comes up and it's like, "Hey, it looks like there's suspicious activity."
Right.
I'm like, "I was just in Toronto a week ago."
No one in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
uses
it's like, but now that I'm in Oklahoma, it's like, whoa.
Toronto made perfect sense. Okay.
And the guy,
Ain't no rednecks.
the guy at the hotel even said, "Yeah, that seems to happen all the time here." Like, I don't know what the deal
It
is.
has to be, man. It has to be.
He was joking like the same way. He's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because we're in Oklahoma and nobody comes here. Why would you come to Oklahoma?" Anyway, so we got out on the road. The first day, we had a pretty decent chance of seeing something. No tornadoes dropped, but we got in a crazy freaking thunderstorm with lightning strikes that would blow your mind. We did have some rotation, but nothing ever dropped except we get a little tiny funnel. Seriously though, the rain and the lightning was insane. I thought we were gonna die for sure.
Last night was crazy here.
Yeah, it was actually. I
Yeah.
actually thought I was dreaming about
Yeah.
chasing, and then I woke up and was like, oh.
In fact, you said the term wall cloud earlier.
yeah.
When I was driving last night, just past dark, so maybe 9, and it was over the Great Salt Lake,
Right.
and the lightning was lighting up the clouds like this cool white because it wasn't quite dark yet. You know, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, it
Yeah,
looked like a
yeah,
wall cloud,
yeah.
and then it came over us like an hour later.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. And then the next day we didn't have any weather at all, so I convinced everyone to go to a Kansas City Royals game because
Nice.
we ended up in Kansas. Then we ended up in Nebraska and Minnesota, and we left from Chicago.
Minnesota. Do they get tornadoes?
There was a pretty good chance of that day. In fact, there were tons of all the tours went up there. And
Is that's the furthest you've traversed on these trips? That's a long
Yeah,
ways.
yeah,
From
it-
Oklahoma to Minnesota
yeah, it was a long.
or to Chicago.
Yeah, well, no, we went to Minnesota and then back down and over to Chicago. So
Wow.
yeah, and then the next week I went back to Chicago, and that's where I saw my
You saw a
actual
tornado.
severe storm. But I think so. I initially the week didn't look that great, so immediately I started praying to my Lord and Savior, the only man that I know who can will things into existence, Tom Brady. And I think my cohorts, at least one of them, just didn't have as much faith as I did. She doesn't like Tom Brady. She would not pray to Tom Brady. And by the way, I am starting a new religion based on Tom Brady and his miracles of getting, playing
Sure.
football into his 40s and continuing to go to Super
You
Bowls.
can call it TBTB.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, true believer.
I used to worship LeBron a little bit because he seemed to be able to will things into existence, but that just
he didn't make the playoffs.
it just doesn't happen anymore. So I think maybe his magic or whatever
Right.
they use
He
is
only
just
sold his
gone.
soul for so long.
So if you would like to join Tomism or Bradyism, let me know. It only costs thousands and thousands of dollars.
It's 11%.
No, I'm gonna undercut tithing.
Yes, 9%.
It's 9%. Look, you come here, you're gonna pay 1% less. All right.
It's 9%.
And we've seen Tom Brady work miracles. All right. So I'm just saying.
Oh, it's classic.
Oh,
We can give you all the same guarantees.
one thing I did learn on my trip as I was sitting in a hotel for hours because we were waiting to go somewhere. I was watching a show about Morse code, and
Was it in Morse code with subtitles?
the whole show. The whole show is. So recently, I don't know, whoever is in charge of Morse code added its first symbol in 70 years.
That's weird.
What?
They added a symbol to Morse code after. I mean, no one's
Apparently,
using
people
it.
still use it. I don't know. The military probably uses it a lot. But do you know what it is? Any guesses? It's something that has.
The first symbol,
And it should be noted that it's a symbol, not a letter.
like
And-
a question mark.
Well, I think those already exist.
Oh, okay. So it's a like
It's
an emoji, like a smiley
You're
face.
on the right track, but no, it is something that has come to light. And
Oh, a hashtag,
oh, so
Pound-
freaking
pound
close,
sign,
so close.
number sign, at
Yes,
an ampersand.
yes, that was the first thing added in 70 years is the at sign.
So they're like, in Morse code, they're like, you can email me
Yeah.
at.
The ironic thing is, it's actually longer than A and T.
But people
combined.
weren't seeing the email
It's
address.
dot dash dash dot dash. It's freaking crazy long.
If you choose to no longer Morse me, you can email me, brian@morse.com.
Oh, it's kind of dumb, huh? Why do they do
It's
that?
weird, man.
like
Even the at symbol is harder to write than the word.
at. Yeah.
And type. You got to go shift whatever it is.
Yeah, you're right.
2. Shift 2. That's the hardest one. It's a ring finger.
Well, it's the same. It's like the same reach, though. Look at
Do you
that.
use a ring finger to do it, or do you use your pinky?
Right now, I'm using my ring finger and my
Right pinky?
whatever that is, my index finger.
Index finger?
Is that index?
Yeah, what are you using your index for?
Right here, Shift 2.
You're doing it with the same hand? You're always supposed to hit shift with the opposite hand that's in use. So you should be
Why?
using... You should... It's because then you're not mangling your fingers.
My
So-
finger. You,
so
you
you
should
should
come look at my. They're not mangled. This is like the naturalist.
No. No.
Look at.
I'm not saying that it's not comfy for you because you've been doing it for 30 years. What I'm saying is that if you go take like a Mavis Beacon course,
Who is Mavis Beacon?
she's the typist who taught everybody how to type. You're supposed to, if the character you're about to type is with your left hand, but it needs to have shift, you're supposed
Look.
to hit the shift with your opposing hand.
Just because something was made in the past doesn't mean that it's still relevant today.
But that's why
whoever
there's-
Magus Beacon, Beepin.
That's why there's shift on both sides.
Yeah, but I can do the same thing on the other side.
Otherwise, you would just why not just use the shift on the same side every time? The way that you do a space bar with the same
Because
thumb.
I can't reach over to 9.
No,
don't know, man.
why not just do shift with your index finger? Or what do you hit shift with when you're doing at? Your pinky?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're doing pinky shift and index finger 2?
Yeah, it looks that way.
That's weird, man. That's
Or I
uncomfy.
can do it the
Now
same
you got to
way.
get your hand back to the home row, and it takes longer.
I don't think so.
You could just do shift with your right pinky and ring finger 2. See? See how that
But then
works?
I'm ready to type over here on the other side already. I don't have to be down here dicking around with the shift
What
button.
do you mean over? Your hand doesn't leave the home row.
I don't know, man.
Listen, my right
Like, I've
hand...
got a home row for you right here.
My right hand is on J, K, L, pinky's on shift. My left hand is on A, ring finger 2, then D, F. So the only fingers that leave are my ring finger and my pinky. When
well,
you
I
use-
guess
when
I
you
didn't
use
learn
shift,
to type in elementary
whole-
school.
I did.
I don't remember.
That's why there's 2 shifts. Man, that's crazy. I did see a TikTok of someone who she was filming like her girlfriend, and in between each capital letter, she was caps locking, then typing, then caps locking.
That's upsetting.
Yeah. Then the shift has no function.
Well, that's just stupid.
It is stupid. I agree. It's stupider
That's
than
the
what you're doing.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's almost as dumb as making a new Morse code symbol and having it be at.
Right. Yeah, like not and. That's at least 3 letters. And they could, shorten it. Whatever A and D is in Morse. They
I
could
think
make
we
it
should
just-
start doing the podcast in Morse code. Just
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't invented a new character. Like dot dash. There should be a shorter one.
well,
like
what
a,
else would you do?
like a. So dot is like. Beep. They should make an even shorter one. It's like. Beep. So there's 3 symbols.
Was that a dosh or a dot or half a dash or what was that?
There's a dosh.
It was 2 a dosh.
Here's something stupid.
Uh.
All right. We were talking about the WNBA.
Yeah.
Stumbled across this article about Liz Cambage. She's an NBA star right now.
Liz Cabbage?
Cambage. Cambage patch doll. She pointed out a pay disparity, but not of WNBA versus NBA.
Well,
She's played in China, where she made many times her WNBA salary. She most recently brought this up because Becky Hammon, a coach for the Las Vegas Aces, was given $1 million contract to be the coach. And she pointed out that Hammond now makes as much as 4 times what the players make in the WNBA. So before I go on about other things in this story, why is it that you would make more money in a women's league of basketball in China than in the United States?
because more people in China must watch it.
But why?
I don't know.
It's weird.
That Chinese people like watching Amazon women play basketball more than we do. I don't know.
All right, I'll go on to the next.
They don't get it. They don't get NBA, so they're just like, let's just.
I'll go on to the next point that is really this one's more maddening. Okay, goes just beyond salary, beyond just salary. Excuse me. Even though several team owners would happily charter planes so their players can travel comfortably, they're prohibited from doing so. One owner was even fined over the offseason for chartering a plane for his team. WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement states that all teams must fly commercial and book their players in Comfort Plus seats. A Comfort Plus seat doesn't fit her frame. She's 6'8". Her solution is flying first class, but that she has to pay $5,000 to $8,000 a year to upgrade her own tickets.
That's it? Because tickets are expensive.
I guess.
Can she sit in the emergency exit
She
row?
brought that up. She said, I can't sit in the exit row. If you're under 6'5", you're fine. But players like me and Brittany Griner, who are over 6'5", she's 6'8", that's going to come out of your pocket.
She should be big enough where she can just literally fly herself with her wingspan.
You'd think. She tried that. Turns out the collective bargaining agreement won't let her.
No, I mean, oh. Okay.
You can't fly yourself
They're
there.
like, you cannot grow wings and attempt
No.
to fly like a bird. Fair enough.
Anyway, it's just food for thought that a woman basketball player would make more in China.
God, this place officially sucks worse than the WNBA. And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide.
Yay! That probably plays a role
I just
in how Americans, that's my point.
look.
That Americans view women's sports differently.
I can't tell you why
Well,
the
it's
WNBA doesn't get as much traction as the NBA. I don't know why we
What?
as a society don't like to watch it, but I can tell you that if it's watched less, then it's worth less, and you don't make as much money. That just kind of is what it is.
And that-
Now, I understand the argument for women's soccer because they do make a lot more money. They win the World Cup like every freaking month.
right. And that wasn't even my question. My question is, why does a woman basketball player make more money in China than in the United States? It's weird.
Well, I know China is big into basketball. They're like obsessed with it, and I don't know. Maybe they don't. There are a lack of other sports there. They just get
Maybe.
whatever they can.
It's interesting.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Well, I was gonna say maybe race isn't a factor in China, or not race, but gender. And I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they don't. They don't have a lot of women over there. No way, is it men? Which one of the babies they don't like?
Females.
That's dumb.
Well, I mean, yeah, the whole thing is dumb, but it's just, yeah, it's just weird to me. It's weird to me. I think it's more of a marketing problem.
I guess. I don't know if. Why don't you watch? You like basketball. Why don't you watch our local W? Do we have it? We don't.
We
have a
don't.
team.
Yeah,
can't
I
imagine
would
that
if
be
it was local.
Would
I don't-
you?
Yeah, because I don't watch. If the Jazz are out of the playoffs, I haven't watched a game since. You know, I want to, but I just don't because I'm not as invested.
Right.
If there was a local, especially having a daughter now.
Do you watch the Bees games?
No,
That's a local team.
no, but I don't really like baseball
Well, how do you know you like women's basketball?
because I've watched women's basketball before. Like it's still just basketball. I don't know. Watched women's tennis.
That's different.
Maybe.
I don't think women's tennis and men's tennis should be split up. I think that's like an equal sport.
There's some pretty significant differences in strength, but I think they could play together. Absolutely. All right, moving on. We have a massive drought in Utah, right?
I hadn't heard.
Massive. And one other factor of the drought is that the Great Salt Lake, which many may know is super salty because it has no outlet,
Right.
only has inlets.
Just doesn't have anyone to talk to.
Right. That's why it's so salty. It's lower than it's ever been in history, in recorded history. And the sediment that is being left is
Gross.
actually dangerous. Like it's going to create, if there's dust storms in Utah, it can be toxic. The shit that's the sediment that this
Why?
lake is leaving. I don't know. It's like weird, like arsenic and shit. It's something weird. And there's quite a bit of industry in the Great Salt Lake with shrimp farming. I don't know if that's what you call it. Growing.
Brine shrimp. I don't understand what industry that is.
It's actually really interesting you bring it up. I applied for a job with these guys.
Oh,
They
right.
make fish food.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, at least one part of it is fish
Okay.
food. Yeah. So the Utah legislature, in their infinite wisdom, says that they should create a pipeline from the ocean, some 600 miles across the Sierra Nevada mountains,
Okay.
to fill the Great Salt Lake with salt water.
Well,
They haven't been thinking about maybe piping in fresh water from somewhere that could solve the freshwater drought we have. But they want to build a pipeline to pipe in salt water so that the Great Salt Lake has water. I get it. It's a problem. The Great Salt Lake is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It can't. It might be devastating to the ecosystem if it dries up. But humans might die if we don't have fresh water, which is the drought we're in now. Pipe it in from somewhere with a lot of fresh water.
Well,
and
if
we
that
could
were
solve
an
that
option,
problem.
wouldn't we already? I mean,
No,
I do.
no, because they're stupid. That's my point.
I do think that, and I know the infrastructure of this and the reality of it is probably astronomical, but there has to be some way for us to like start hooking into these other
Yeah,
states.
that's what I
Because
mean.
we have states that flood,
Yeah,
and they have an abundance of water,
Go the-
but not every year. Like Texas, I've been in Texas where they are drowning. Like
sure.
just-
Well,
and I've been in
Texas
Texas
is huge.
where there's no
Right.
water, and it's terrible.
Part of big chunk of Texas is desert. Then another chunk is.
But I can tell you, having been in the plains, that when it rains there, it is like nothing we have here.
no, I went.
I
to,
mean,
and
it is insane the amount of water that comes down.
Yeah. So I wasn't in the plains, but last year I went to Oregon. I was on the coast of Oregon, right?
Uh-huh.
And it rained 17 inches
Yeah.
in 2 days,
Which is like past our
yearly.
yeah, check this out. This was within an hour of the rainstorm we were in. The streets
Yeah. So
were flooding.
so I'm in Oregon. Stuff like that's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's flooding. We go because we're visiting. We don't care about the rain. We want to see things. So we go to the coast. We follow some trails through, just off the road that are right near the coast.
Right.
And you're on the coast and you see like surfers in wetsuits and stuff. And then as you look down the coastline, all you see is little rivers coming off the mountain into the ocean.
Right.
And you realize that's all fresh water from rain
Mm-hmm. Well,
flowing into the ocean.
all rivers and
Right.
they all lead to the ocean.
Right. But here you have fresh water that we're letting
Go.
flood into the ocean that is salt water.
So you're saying that we should
If we're going to build a pipe, why
should
don't we
just stop the water from going to the ocean?
not all of it, but why
Wouldn't
can't we
Wouldn't that cause an issue with the ocean?
no more than piping the water out of it to fill the Great Salt Lake, but at least we'd have drinking water.
I don't know.
At least we'd be able to drink. At least be able to water your lawn.
I do feel like there's got to be things that could be done that are just kind of not being done for some reason.
Now, I mean,
And
most,
you would think that at this point people would be like thought of everything and would
No.
would have run through it, but maybe not.
like there's people who are like maybe we should desalinate.
Yeah, I know that the coast, California, is talking about starting to desalinate.
Sure.
Which, whatever, I guess you can just come bring all your salt to the Salt Lake because there's not going to be any water.
There's not going to be any water.
Bring
Like I
it to
said,
our salt flats.
the experts in this article agree that it's a serious problem.
Right.
If the Great Salt Lake empties, it's going to be kind of devastating to ecosystems, right?
Right.
But they're also like, this isn't fucking feasible at all. It's going to cost like $10 billion to put a pipeline over the Sierra Nevada mountains to pipe in from the ocean. I couldn't help but think, but we have a freshwater problem. We don't.
Well,
Isn't the freshwater problem a
the
little
reason
bit more demanding?
the reason the Salt Lake is empty is because of all the stops the water makes already.
True, and we're in a
From
drought, so
because
we're not
it's-
getting rain.
The main source is the Weber River, the Jordan River, and
Well, all of them, Ogden.
yeah, but
Right.
their water gets broken off for farmlands and everything,
Right.
and that's why it's not filling up as fast.
Right.
And plus, we're in a drought.
So
So
why don't we pipe more?
They're already
fresh
kind of
water in?
kind of doing what you're saying, taking the fresh water and using it,
Right.
and it's not getting to the Salt Lake. So,
Which means we need more fresh water,
well,
not more salt water.
it sounds like what they're saying is let's take all the water, the fresh water, and keep it for ourselves, and we'll use salt water to fill the Salt Lake. Which
I mean, I understand, but we're still out of fresh water.
Well, you can't just make it appear.
You can with a fucking pipeline. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They're going to spend.
Oh, we can
they're
build
going to spend
pipelines.
$10 billion.
We have to build pipelines to everywhere then.
That's fine. That's fine. We already use the natural river infrastructure and steal water from those already, like you said. You know, we already have pipelines for oil.
I think the
Next
problem
time you build
is,
an oil pipeline, just put another 6-inch pipe next to it, and it's water.
there's got to be a way to take it from these mid states that have tons of it.
Yeah, a pipe.
But the problem is they don't always have a ton of it.
Right.
So you got to be able to.
We would definitely. We would still need to reservoir it.
Right.
Right. Or just let it. Fucking just put the pipe at the top of the mountain, let it run down normal, and fill the aquifer.
We just need to build a pipe from Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, which
because
are
the
all
problem is our
freshwater.
aquifers, right? That's how they test it. Is they have giant sticks that they shove into the dirt to see how far the groundwater is.
Right.
You're right, and that. Anyway, I just thought it was silly.
Huh. We got to think about this.
Yeah. Okay, I stumbled across this video of Senator Bill Cassidy talking about. This is an abortion update.
Looks rapey.
All right, good call. This is an abortion update.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Sarah, abort. Repeat, abort.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, buddy. He's talking about abortion and why in his state. Let me just double check. What did I say his name was?
Senator Bill Sturgis. No, Bill Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy. I think he's Louisiana, and it's important. Louisiana. All right, so I'm just going to start this clip. Let's make sure the audio is working. I'll go back a couple seconds here. A woman's going to come on and ask him a question. Okay.
Ooh.
If that's how you define pro-life.
Not here.
So
Wait for
if we can keep that trend, hopefully it'll be different in the future.
All right, here we go.
Last question on this topic before I move to the pandemic, but because you raised maternal care and the importance of, caring for a mother throughout pregnancy and childbirth, I know that Louisiana ranks very low or I should say very high on maternal deaths amongst the states. So what do you think needs to be done there to improve that, especially if forms of abortion or birth control could be limited in the future?
I'm not sure people are talking about limiting forms of birth control. And shall we say, if you're using abortion to limit maternal death, that's kind of an odd way to approach the problem. But anyway, that said, Louisiana, about a third of our population is African American. African Americans have a higher incidence of maternal mortality. So if you correct our population for race, we're not as much of an outlier as it would otherwise appear.
Let me just stop right there. So to recap, she says to him, how are you going to address the problem of maternal death rates in Louisiana because your state ranks high in them, meaning you have more maternal deaths than other places?
Okay.
And his rebuttal is to say, well, we have a lot of black women, and black women die more during childbirth. So if you control for that and take out the black women, we're no longer that high.
Huh. That probably wasn't a good a racist.
What kind of argument? Like, I don't even have to say anything about it. I just want to point people to Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, one of the top 101 most powerful people in the country, saying that if you simply control for the fact that we have more black people, black women, well, I mean, then the white women are dying at the same rate as everywhere else.
Well, that's really all that matters. I mean, well, I hadn't heard about Republicans in the South, especially senators being racist. This is kind of new to me. Did you just find this out? Is this a new?
Yeah, this is brand new. They've clearly switched sides because for years it was the Democrats who were racist, right? So we're in the midst of a switch,
right?
Apparently,
right.
Oh, dude, for fuck's sake, man, I don't understand. I don't understand what he's trying to say. And you can go watch this. It's on Harvard.
Does he have a rebuttal? Like, did he walk it back the next
No.
day?
I watched the rest of this clip. It's a half an hour interview that someone from Harvard did with him, Senator Bill Cassidy. You can find it. And
I guess he didn't go to Harvard, did he?
I don't know. He is a doctor, believe it or not.
Oh,
He's a
well,
doctor.
I mean,
So
so
he-
is Dr. Oz.
He could. Oh man, what a mess. Where are we at with that, by the way?
I
Should we
don't
look
know.
real
I
quick?
just saw his gun commercial the other day. It was
Pennsylvania
Really,
election
it was really
results.
stupid.
If you haven't been following this, holy shit! Out of more than 1 million votes cast, it was down to less than 1,000 votes between him and his opponent in the primary. And frankly, I'm actually hoping that Oz wins because I think it will ignite the liberal base there to vote. Does that make sense? Because he's got Trump's endorsement. So if he
Trump
wins,
people have been losing lately.
so if he wins the primary, I think there's a better chance that a Democrat wins the seat than if McCormick wins.
Here, you need to watch. Have you watched Colbert at all recently?
A little bit.
You need to watch this clip here. It's pretty great. Probably
Mehmet
not,
Oz.
Probably not the whole thing.
And then a photo, while you're waiting for that, there was a photo released of Oz voting in Turkey's election.
Oh, right.
In 2018, because he's a Turkish citizen. Not that there's really anything wrong with it, but it's funny. Moving on to that topic, by the way.
What were we talking about? Oh, Dr. Oz?
Dr. Oz, yeah.
Wait, what were we talking about? This is a doctor. Oh, this guy's a doctor. Okay. All right. All right. You got
yes.
there.
However, we can talk about this because obviously the shooting, and I want to talk about what some of these guys have said. There is one GOP congressman, Representative Chris Jacobs of New York, who's come out in favor of an assault weapons ban.
Right.
After 2 high-profile mass shootings in his hometown of Buffalo and in Uvalde. He said at a press conference Friday that if a bill to ban AR-15 style weapons came to the House floor, he would vote in favor. So immediately you kind of love this guy, right?
Well,
he added that he would also back raising the required age for certain gun sales to 21, imposing a federal limit on guns magazine capacity, and banning the sale of body armor to the public. Now, body armor is interesting because that is not a Second Amendment thing.
That's true.
There's no argument there. So if you are one of the good guys with guns argument people, then you should be very pro body armor should be illegal.
Right.
No one should be able to buy body armor unless you need it, right? Like you're a police officer or something. He said in an interview with the Buffalo News on Friday that he reconsidered his position on guns following the 2 mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde. So we're seeing in real time someone's tree of empathy growing that we've talked about.
Right.
It kind of pisses me off that he changed his mind after 2 more shootings is what it took.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think any of these people are going to start moving until their kids start dying.
I agree, and that's unfortunate. I don't know why it takes a shooting in your hometown of Buffalo to change your position.
Right.
You are unable or unwilling to have empathy until it affects you. Like, fuck off, man. But please vote for this bill if it ever comes up. He said there's not currently a bill to ban assault weapons in the House, and he does not expect Democrats to have the political will to introduce one, but he would support it if it were introduced. I don't know why he can't write one. He is an elected official who is...
He doesn't have the time.
He can write legislation. That's actually his job. He's not in favor of confiscating the ones people already own, but in favor of banning the sale. So that's first thing I wanted to talk about was this one GOP guy from New York. Maybe he'll get some more friends on board here.
Oh, I'm sure. Until the NRA pays him, and he'll just flip sides.
I came across a PolitiFact article for a claim that Joe Biden made, saying that mass shootings tripled when the assault weapon ban ended. So if you know that assault weapons were banned and magazines over 10 were banned from 1994 to 2004, the ban wasn't renewed during the Bush administration when Republicans also had power in Congress. So PolitiFact was fact-checking this, and it's true.
Right.
The 1994 law barred the manufacturer, transfer, and possession of about 118 firearm models in all magazines holding more than 10 rounds. People who already own such weaponry could keep it. When the ban took effect, there were roughly 1.5 million assault weapons in private hands. An estimated 25 million weapons were equipped with large capacity magazines. Talking about a few different studies here. The death toll from mass shootings went from an average of 4.8 per year during the ban to an average of 23.8 per year in the decade after. So from 2004 to 2014. That doesn't include the last 8 years.
Oh.
This guy is DiMaggio. What's his first name? It's not Joe. Anyway, he's the guy who did the study. He found that mass shooting deaths were 70% less likely during the ban. Also found this finding, considering that mass shootings with high-capacity semi-automatics are considerably more lethal and injurious than other mass shootings, it's reasonable to argue that the federal ban could have prevented some of the recent increase in persons killed and injured in mass shootings had it remained in place. At Johns Hopkins, when it comes to magazine size, their work linked laws with magazine size to nearly 50% reduction in the rate of fatal mass shootings. One last quote here. This one will frustrate you. On the key policy of whether the ban drove the decline, DiMaggio urged caution. It's pretty much impossible to prove cause and effect. Gun violence researcher Andrew Morrill at Rand Corporation said he and his colleagues don't see strong evidence that the ban drove down deaths. On the other hand, he said, we also don't believe there is strong evidence that they were not the cause of any such reductions. He comes back from that quote and saying that any absence of strong data either way, the absence of strong scientific evidence is not a good rationale for taking no action. So he comes back from that crazy quote and says, just because we don't have really strong scientific evidence, which, Republicans they do, they don't have any strong scientific evidence with abortion, and they're good to ban that.
I do. I don't know if you saw the TikTok where the guy is talking about Republicans in January and at the beginning of the year when they're like, we don't trust teachers with books. We need to get rid of the books. We don't trust them at all.
Yeah.
And now they're like, you know what? We need to give teachers guns. We trust them with everything. We give them the guns, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
I will say that after this latest shooting, which, wow, it was pretty horrific, as was Sandy Hook, as was all of them. And the stuff coming out about the police is pretty damning.
Yeah, I put a couple TikToks up about that.
Yeah.
Got some love.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting worse. That first TikTok I posted, the initial news was that it took them 45 minutes to enter the building. And ever since I posted that, every single news article that's come out has gotten progressively worse about what the situation actually was. It wasn't just 45 minutes, it was 90 minutes. And it wasn't that they weren't in the building. They were in the building while shots were still being fired.
This has to be one of the most agreed, they were in a firefight with him before he even went into the building.
Yeah.
How does this does this happen? How do you have any faith in your police after that?
No one you shouldn't.
I mean,
and
he had armor, he had ceramic armor on, that's all up in the air.
He
still,
had a
isn't
vest. He had a vest on, but it was not reinforced.
Oh. So assault rifle should have gone through it.
No, yeah, when I mean not reinforced, I mean it was literally just a vest to carry ammo.
Oh,
it had no plates.
So anything should have gone
no
through
plates on it.
So the cops just really bad shots, or
so right now, as it stands, what we know, at least from their reporting, I don't think we'll know the truth unless there's video cameras.
Right.
Is that shortly after he went into the building, 7 police officers were in there.
Yeah.
While shots were being fired, they got shot at. A couple of them were hit with grazing shots. But they didn't do anything. So you could make the argument that they were standing outside the door while he was killing children.
Right.
There was the district police chief was the one who claims to have made the call to not go in because he felt like it turned into a barricade situation, even though that's the antithesis of all the training they had. Even just 2 months ago, Uvalde Police Department had a training on mass shootings and school shootings where it clearly says your primary directive, your very first thing, is to stop the shooter. You're not even supposed to help the injured. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to engage and stop the shooter. That's the first thing you do. That's it.
This is interesting that I wonder how many of these police officers didn't know until that moment that they shouldn't be police officers.
Yeah, probably a lot. And that's always been my argument. I know I shouldn't be a cop because I'd probably beat the shit out of someone, right? I know I shouldn't be a cop because I wouldn't want to run into a building. That's
Right.
the point. The point is that no one wants to do that. So stop expecting that they're going to, and let's solve the fucking problem, right? We don't need a militia to protect our schools. Get rid of the guns. Make it harder to get them. Both of these shootings were 18-year-old kids.
I do think we are seeing this in 18-year-old. We're seeing it in younger kids. I do think that raising the limit should be a quick.
It's a really
quick
first
change.
step.
I don't see why that should really be held up anywhere. You got to be 21 to drink.
Right.
It's not like this is there's precedence for
Right.
for something dangerous.
It's a
when
quick
you're
first.
older.
There are
You
many.
got to be 25 to rent a car.
Yeah, and I would be fine with a full-on ban, right? But if
Well, how does that play out though?
it's just like Australia did. You do a gun buyback program.
You can't just say like Australia did. They have a quarter of our population.
So?
And probably not as many whack jobs in the South.
They have a quarter of our population, but we have probably
Actually, they
triple
have
the
like
amount of police per
way
capita.
less of our it may even be. Hold on, I gotta look.
No, it's true. It's true. But
there's more guns than people in our
but-
country, and I don't believe that was ever the case in Australia.
but why would that matter? If you ban them, you ban them. Why does it matter how many everyone has?
Well, don't you think that would that would cause some sort of civil unrest
Sure.
and
Yeah.
riots and guns and
Probably.
World War III?
No, not World War III. No other country's going to give a shit what we're doing here. They'll
Fine,
probably love
Civil
it.
War II?
Sure. Yeah, but so what's the alternative?
Oh wow, Australia only has 7 million people. Their population
Yeah.
is smaller than New York City.
But what you're doing here is slipping down the rabbit hole of American exceptionalism, that we're different because we're American.
No, I'm not saying that
Right.
we're different. I'm just saying that Australian people are more reasonable.
But are they? Why
No,
why would they
I
be?
just,
That's my point. So this also goes back the other way.
Mhm.
So you're saying that Australia made it work because simply they're better than us, right? So that's the opposite argument of American exceptionalism. And I would say, no, we're still just people who live in Western society in a capitalist place.
Right.
What is the difference?
But so are you saying ban just assault rifles or all weapons?
Assault rifles.
Okay.
I know that fucking right wingers will be crazy about how there's. I hate the semantics argument about there's no such thing as an assault rifle. You know what the fuck we're talking about,
Right.
right?
I don't know, man. I just don't think that would
And listen,
really solve it.
I'm not. Well,
I do think Republicans tend to come back and say that it's mental health, and I tend to completely agree with
yeah,
that.
but they won't do anything about it.
But they don't do anything about it, which I don't agree with.
It's easy to call these guys monsters,
Yeah.
but they're someone's child. This guy shot his grandma out of the blue. She had no idea that he had a beef with her. He was living with her.
Right.
Right? These are people's kids. These are people's brothers. This guy was talking to a girl in Germany on, I think it was Germany, on like WhatsApp. These are normal, otherwise normal people that we have red flags for and don't do a fucking thing about.
But did we have red flags?
Yes.
Like, what did we know?
He posted guns.
And we knew this beforehand?
No, we didn't know this till after.
So
we
what-
ignored the red flags. Is what I'm saying. People ignored the red flags.
Well,
we have a giant NSA database in Utah,
right,
an hour from here,
but
that monitors everything.
You think they're monitoring WhatsApp?
I think they're monitoring everything.
Oh my god, I listen to us right now.
Yeah, I think they monitor everything, and they could easily monitor this.
I would need to know if that's like true or not, or what. If
What
if
do you
that's
think
the
they're doing
I don't
in that
know.
huge building down
But I just think that monitoring 350 million people and missing something every now and then would be pretty acceptable.
Sure, but how? But wait a second. You're saying this is acceptable? This
No,
failure rate?
but what I'm saying is that this week we caught like 3 or 4 people attempting to do the same thing. Like it was in the news. There was some 16-year-old that made a joke because he was
Right.
so stupid.
Would we have caught him?
I'm just saying.
Would we have caught him if these two shootings
Did
hadn't
he
just
fall
happened?
through the cracks? I don't know who to really blame. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is there's this fine line between going over your right to privacy. And so I don't know. Like, do we just give that up completely?
And sure, the red flag to this girl that he was talking, sure, that's private.
Right.
I still think it's being monitored, but whatever. I see your point. I'm talking like he had stuff on Instagram.
Oh well, I mean, okay,
Right.
that's what I'm getting at. Is it's like, were there red flags that anyone could have seen, or is this stuff that he's doing on the dark web? And
no, these
talking
were,
to people.
From my
in Germany?
understanding, there were red flags that people could have seen, but there's this belief that these people are monsters through and through before the shooting, as children, whatever. No, these are otherwise normal people. This is the classic, you interview the neighbor, right? The classic, oh, he's just a quiet guy. It's always what it is. We need to accept the fact that monsters live among us. And it's okay to identify them if you know them.
Yeah.
That's not even legislation, though, right? I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying we could have red flag laws. We could have waiting periods, mandatory waiting periods that are longer than hours.
Well, yeah.
If you want to buy an Armalite rifle, okay, an assault-style rifle, and they're colloquially known, that should be like a week, maybe 2.
I don't know, man. I still think you can do the same damage with a 9mm pistol.
No, I fully
Not
disagree.
the same damage. But you could kill, if you walked into a classroom.
You could. Virginia Tech is an example. He killed 31 people with a pistol.
Right.
But I just read you those statistics. Right? The stats, I just read them to you.
Right.
Were very clear. You were 70% less likely to die in a mass shooting. Right?
If it's not an assault rifle?
Yeah, during the ban. Not only ban for assault weapons, but magazine size.
Right.
Right? Virginia Tech was after that ban. So I can't remember what size magazine he had in his pistol, but it was clearly enough to kill 31 people. Maybe he reloaded once, but the evidence is there that if someone has to reload, you're less likely.
Right.
And you're talking about the type of ammunition in a rifle is way more powerful than the type of ammunition in a pistol, unless you're carrying like a 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the damage that an AR-15 does?
Yeah, I know.
It's fucking sick.
Well, yeah.
Right? So, waiting periods, red flag laws, ban the sale of these guns and these magazines. The argument that you need them for a tyrannical government is absolute bullshit. Anybody can argue with me about this all you'd want. You're not going to shoot down an A-10 with your AR-15. You're not going to hurt an armored personnel carrier with an AR-15. You're not going to hurt a tank with an AR-15. You're not going to hit an F-35.
You might ask the Russians about that.
The Ukrainians have far superior weapons to an AR-15, right? If people wanted to take this, I said this on TikTok. People wanted to fight the government. These are the same fuckers who went to D.C. on January 6th, and none of them tried to use those weapons. Why not?
Because they'd go to jail.
Because deep down they know it wouldn't fucking work.
Right.
Deep down you know it wouldn't work. You'd show up with guns and you'd be shot.
Right.
Right? We would have had military there in 7 minutes if people had those kind of weapons on a lot of them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
We would have bombed the grounds with Congress inside if we really thought there are 10,000 AR-15s coming out here right now.
Was that an option?
I'm sure it is. Sure it is. Right? You don't stand a chance against the United States military if it's going to be used against you. No one does.
Right.
You don't even stand a chance against United States police forces.
That's true.
They have body armor, helmets, personnel carriers, fucking tanks.
This guy did.
No, because as soon as the Border Patrol SWAT team showed up, it's just like Parkland. This is just like Parkland when the Parkland Police Department didn't do shit and Cape Coral came in and immediately went into the building.
I don't understand how it happens. How
the U.S. Marshals showed up to this shooting to help this SWAT team. When they got the call that there was a shooting going on, they were 70 miles away. And when they showed up, they still hadn't killed the guy. There were 7 cops in the building.
I don't understand that. one gun versus 7.
And now you have
and the cops have AR-15s too.
Right. Or shotguns.
Riley told me the button to press to pull it out of the car if I needed to use it.
Or listen, you're gonna do a lot of damage with a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Right? At someone from 10 yards.
They also have like smoke grenades and flashbangs just on them. I think.
No, and now we're finding out that cops went in to rescue their own children.
Really?
While they were detaining parents on the outside.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's reports.
Huh.
Yeah.
Man.
He hid in a closet. So to get back to the story, 7 cops in there. They get shot at. A few of them are hit. Not killed. Grazed through the door. The SWAT team gets there. It takes them a fucking half an hour to find the right key to open the door. He's hiding in a closet.
They needed a key. They couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they open the door, he kicks open the closet and starts shooting, and they shoot and kill him. By the way, he got into the building because a teacher propped the door open before he crashed his truck, right? So the timeline is he killed his grandma, ran to his truck, crashed his truck, started shooting at people on the street who were stopped to help him, then he ran into the school. Before he crashed his truck, a teacher went outside for something, propped the door, saw the crash, went inside to call 911, didn't unprop the door. So a failure on multiple levels here, right? I emailed Quinn's principal because at Birch Creek Elementary, tons of doors, they're all locked all day long, except for the office, right? So there's a vestibule with a bank of like 8 doors that are always locked. You have to go through the office to get in. Now that wouldn't stop someone bent on violence, right? It's just a school secretary in there in the office. So it's a bottleneck, it's a choke point, but it wouldn't stop someone. So I emailed the principal and I said, hey, I will gladly set up a fundraiser, get quotes for you to install a maglock with a buzzer on the office door. Because if someone's bent on violence, they can walk right through the fucking office.
And that is another thing Republicans bring up, and I don't think that's like a terrible idea to enforce the schools more than they are. I don't think making them look like a prison is necessary.
No, you put a maglock on there.
But I mean, I have to have an ID badge to get into my office at work.
Right.
I don't know why that's.
You put a maglock on there with a simple button that the secretary pushes to let someone in. Right. And he did email me back within a day and said the district approved it. It should be installed by next year. Yeah. I was like, hell yes, that's fucking cool. Right. Because I was like, I'll pay for this.
Right.
Sure, someone who's really bent on violence will find a way in. You can shoot through the glass, whatever it might be, but we can make it a little bit harder. And that's the same argument with gun control.
Just slow them down.
That guy that made a fucking tank out of a tractor in that small town in, what was it, like Indiana? Sure.
Great
documentary. Someone bent on violence will maybe find a way, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't make it harder.
That's true. I mean, if they go to every door and they're locked, they may run somewhere else and try something else.
The guy was just engaging with the police. If that door was locked,
this whole story just is so weird.
He was crouched down between a car, and the school resource officer drove by him.
Question: Was he fighting with Star Wars stormtroopers?
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it.
I just don't understand. Like, I've shot guns and I've hit targets.
Yep.
And I'm not a marksman. I've even shot an exploding target once.
Yeah.
Just first try. Granted, I guess I've never experienced being shot back at, but I just feel like the numbers alone, 7v1.
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I have a hard time with this one. I normally like to
you devil's advocate me a lot. Yeah.
Especially with the cops, but I just don't get it.
No. And 7-1 was just within like 3 minutes. Right? Within like 10 minutes it was like 20, 30-1.
Right.
And parents were there.
Right.
The school sent out a Facebook post while he was in the school saying, we're on lockdown because there's something going on nearby. And then 15 minutes later said, turns out he's in the school. The school's on lockdown. Your kids are safe. Parents show up. There's video and pictures of them yelling at the police to go in. There's pictures of them detaining parents who said, I'm going to get my child. Can you imagine? I know you're not a father, but you know my daughter, and you have a nephew. Can you imagine a police officer telling you can't go find this child?
Well, I can't imagine a police officer waiting outside.
No.
Why, at this point, after all of these other shootings, after Sandy Hook, after Columbine,
Yeah.
after why they were outside at all.
And because of Columbine and Parkland, they've received training that says, do not wait. The cop in Parkland waited. He hid between two buildings.
Right.
Right? Don't wait. Engage the shooter immediately. Put your life in danger.
If you're not going to go, give your gun to somebody who will.
A mom was there was a mom who told the news, I asked the police officer for his vest and his gun and said I would go in, and he said no.
Yeah. If they're going to be pussies about it.
Yeah,
I
for
don't,
real. I mean,
I don't understand, man.
And now for a second, let's pivot to teachers
Uh-huh.
with guns. Okay, if you read the account of one of the children in the classroom, he, to the two classrooms were connected. You know how some elementary classrooms have that door in the back,
right?
I'm assuming that's what it is. Like it's just a partition. There's a door in the back. They were watching a movie. He heard his exact words were, "I heard the teacher say he's got a gun. He's got a gun." She didn't even have time to lock the door.
Right.
So what would arming her have done?
No, nothing. That's dumb.
Okay, so we can just dispel that right now.
I mean, they're
not to mention, what are you going to arm her with?
They're playing these scenarios that maybe work once, but
what are you going to arm a teacher that's?
You're not at a school expecting.
No,
it doesn't matter how often it happens. It's you never expect it to happen to you. It's unfortunate that,
and it's not
that's
like
kind of how we are.
You're not necessarily going to hear gunshots or gun before he gets to you.
Right.
Right. And what are you going to use? A 9mm, a 22? What are you going to arm these teachers with? So if he has body armor on,
a couple shots with the 9mm will do it. Pow. Sorry, I just like the 9.
So do I. It's a powerful gun, But if he's got enough armor on, and you don't get him in the face,
he didn't have armor. The guy
I know,
in Buffalo
but if he does, right? And the guy in Buffalo killed an armed security guard.
Right.
So stop with the good guys with guns argument. It's just not. It's not true, and more guns isn't going to equal more safe. It's because here's what would happen. And this, I've read news stories on this show about a guy who was being robbed in a Walmart parking lot.
Right.
Or actually, I'm sorry, he was holding a guy that shoplifted at Walmart at gunpoint, and the cops showed up and shot him. You remember that?
I do.
Why wouldn't that happen here? You see a teacher with a gun in a shooting, in a school where a shooting's taking place, you don't think the cops are going to be like, who the fuck is that?
Right.
Do they have vests that say teacher, armed teacher on them? No, they're going to shoot them, him or her. I just got to report the fucking shooting in the school, and there's a fucking person standing here with a gun. Of course I shot him. Well, they're the teacher. I didn't fucking know it was the teacher. Came on the radio, school shooting. I ran in. I see someone with a gun.
They're just circling the drain with all their I mean, the majority of their solutions were so stupid.
Would you hold it against
they
a
were
police
so
officer?
Embarrassing.
Would you hold it against a police officer who ran into a building?
No, of course not.
And shot a teacher who was holding a weapon?
No,
Let's say she or he is standing outside her door, holding a gun like up in the air, ready to engage a shooter in the hallway while her kids are inside the classroom. Or let's say even different. Let's say you're in the classroom behind the line that you can see on the door. Remember that whole thing where you tape it off so kids know where to hide? Fuck. Let's say that the teacher's standing or crouched down with a gun in front of the kids. And the cop comes in, poof, kick down the door. There's a fucking person with a gun standing in front of all the kids. Would you blame the cop for shooting him?
No.
No. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't know how many shooters are in there. They don't know what's going on. If they're doing their job right in a shooter situation, they're engaging everywhere.
Right.
They're not yelling out. This was another fucking tragedy that happened in this case. The cops on the outside, one of them yelled, "Yell if you need help." And a little girl yelled, and the shooter killed her. It's another thing cops know not to do in an active shooter situation. You do not tell people to yell. And kids are trained in school. Do not yell, do not cry, do not scream.
Right.
Until someone comes and finds you. I mean, we're reading about 10-year-old girls who covered themselves in their friend's blood.
Right.
Were your school doors ever locked in Texas?
I don't know.
My elementary school, my junior high, my high school, doors were never locked.
Right.
I graduated in 2002. That's not that long ago. And they were never locked.
Brian.
No, I mean, relatively speaking.
It was 20 years ago.
But, like, you know what I'm talking about, though?
Right.
Like, I was in elementary school before the ban took place. The first ban.
Uh-huh.
And my school doors weren't locked. It's sad that we have to think that way, that I even have to email Quinn's principal and say, hey, would you mind installing a mag lock on the office door because I'm afraid your secretary will just get shot. Was she going to engage a shooter as he walks through the door with a rifle? You know?
No.
None of this case and Buffalo, unfortunately, proves so many of their arguments just completely false. None of their arguments work.
It's dumb. Arming the teachers is the dumbest thing because it's not like the teachers are just hand on the hip all day. They're walking around the classroom like, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that? Did you hear that?
Well,
what was that?
Imagine if you did
Someone
arm
dropped
them.
a fork, Mrs. Johnson.
Right. If you did arm them, shit like that probably would start happening.
Mm-hmm.
They're teachers. The last thing you need is to make them so on edge that, yes, someone drops a fork in the cafeteria, right?
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, locked doors, that door that was propped, had it been locked, sure, could have stopped the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the point. Even someone commented on my TikTok video, didn't you know that it's already illegal to kill kids? I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, this whole thing's over. This whole argument is done then. This shit's solved. No, yes, it's illegal to kill people. We don't have to make it any easier.
Right.
We can make it harder then. You know, where is your RPG? Why don't millionaires own Blackhawks? Or the the Bin Laden helicopter?
Don't you know not to bring that up? Makes me so angry. Why don't they just tell us about it?
Fighting a tyrannical...
We know it exists.
Right. Fighting a tyrannical government is maybe the silliest argument. It's not the dumbest. It's the silliest, though.
Yeah.
In that you think you could actually go up against the United States military. If that decision is made, we're going to be depending on soldiers and their leaders. We're not going to be depending on our weapons to defend us from the military.
And I think there's more of an argument to be had that you could be used to defend yourself against an aggressor if they made.
Sure. In fact, I found
if they made their way into the country, but gosh, that'd really be hard to do in this country already. So
yeah, you guys all going to go to California when the Chinese invade,
right,
or when the Japanese.
I mean, we're just like a really hard country to invade.
Yeah.
I guess you could take Hawaii pretty easy.
They tried.
Yeah. I mean, you can invade through Alaska, and
there's that documentary. What's it called? Like the Battle of Long Beach or Los Angeles, where there's evidence that maybe the Japanese got really close to the coast,
right,
with their Zeros,
right,
in the middle of the night. My grandma lived in Orange County at the time, and she remembers I think she even kept some flak. Fell from the sky near her apartment.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So they were shooting flak into the sky. They had searchlights.
Weird.
Oh, going over the ocean.
Where were the guns even at?
Probably right on the coast. I mean, they reinforced that coast during the war.
Right.
But it's scary.
I don't know.
Shit, man.
I don't know, man. All right. Man, we've been recording for a minute. We should take a break.
Okay.
I couldn't find our regular break music, so this is what we get today.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
We should use this more often.
We played our show.
Yeah, and if you didn't come, fuck you. You missed a great show. No, I'm just kidding. You come to the next one, though, right? Everybody who's listening, you'll come to the next one.
I learned a valuable lesson that Randy told me that his mom told him. She said, stop talking about your mistakes. And I was like, I know. I'm sorry. That's just what I do.
At the show?
I just made so many mistakes that night. I was so embarrassed.
I don't think anybody noticed.
I know, but I did, and they were bad. I started rapping right here, this part. I went up to the mic like I was about we've been doing this for 2 years, and I have never done that.
Yeah, but
what the hell was going on?
It might have sounded cool.
Yeah.
I was pissed. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't even hear it.
Anyway, all right. We'll be back with random headlines and the history of Tucker Carlson's life.
Ooh, yeah.
Right, we're riveting.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you these random headlines.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed whatever clip Spencer put in there.
Oh. Have to find something now. Okay, random headlines. Just literally pulled these up right now, so I can't guarantee they're going to be good. But
best kind of random.
1,369 people set a record in England for donning vampire costumes. A group of 1,369 people in costume gathered at the 13th Century Abbey in England to celebrate the 125th anniversary of Bram Stoker's Dracula and break a record.
Have you ever read it?
No.
I've heard it's really scary. Like,
I've read like 4 books in my life.
Like legitimately scary.
And 2 of them are the Rocks books. English Heritage, which manages more than 400 cultural sites in the country, said its Thursday record attempt at Whitby Abbey was officially declared a new Guinness World Record for the largest people. Still,
once again, they won't give it to the LEDs on outhouses.
I don't understand. I've seen some ridiculous ones lately.
I want to know how many people Guinness turned away at this event. Like they
weren't
like
they weren't.
Nope, that costume.
That doesn't
Dude,
count.
You're
Where are
wearing
your teeth?
You're wearing a towel.
You've got a cape but no teeth.
You're wearing a towel for a cape.
And what
it's
if
rainbow.
you come as like just a regular person with vampire teeth, like that stupid movie that one girl was in, and the one guy?
Yeah, I'm that.
You remember
the other guy?
The guy who's a terrible actor and kind of just went away because he was so bad. Twilight. That's the movies I'm thinking of.
What's that guy's name?
You got
Not the.
You got 2 actors that
the
are
werewolf.
Yeah.
The guy who played the werewolf.
God, he was such a bad actor. It was hilarious. His acting was so bad that it was comical.
Who played the werewolf in Twilight?
I don't know. The others have gone on to play Batman.
Taylor Lautner.
Yeah. Is he dead?
Teen Idol.
Teen Idol.
Look, I Googled who played werewolf in Twilight, and the result says Idol Taylor Lautner.
Well.
He is not dead.
Oh. Well.
He was born in 1992.
Oh.
And
that's a...
Wikipedia has no death date. So
of all the people that have died probably this week, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, the last record was 1,039 people in Virginia in 2011. So, we just got to get together and get
1370.
Let's be dicks and break it by one person.
Just like the other one,
Yeah.
The freaking what was I just talking about? Everest.
Oh yeah.
3 days before. Yeah.
Dick move, man.
Bram Stoker. He was Irish.
Northwestern engineers. I don't know if these are engineers from the Northwestern region or the Northwestern University, which I assume is in the Northwest region. They announced the invention of the world's smallest remote-controlled walking robot, which measures only 1/2 millimeter wide.
What?
Yeah. The engineer said in research published in the Journal of Science and Robotics that their crab-like robot is smaller than the thickness of a penny.
Wait a sec. I'm looking at it here.
They developed it to fight crabs. Pubic crabs.
Pubic crabs. It's smaller than the thickness of a penny. It's less than 1/2 millimeter?
How does it move? John A. Rogers, who's probably a distant relative of mine.
Probably.
An engineering professor at the Evanston 3...
Oh, look at that.
It's Evanston, Illinois, but I saw it as 3.
I've done that before. Look at it next to a needle.
Oh, weird. I don't like that. Can it go in and get rid of my diabetes?
Mm.
And I have fatty liver disease too. PT Dub.
You just have to eat like 1,000 of these. Oh, it's on a penny right there in this one. Holy cow, man, that's crazy.
Oh wow. How does it?
Damn.
How does it move?
I don't think it does. I think they're lying.
Is there video of it moving?
I don't know. We're gonna see.
The robots can walk, twist, turn, and jump. They're made of a malleable shape memory alloy
called unobtainium.
Yeah, what is it from Star Trek here? Which moves by changing shape when heat is applied. Oh. Roger said the necessary heat comes from lasers. How can you fit lasers on there? Or do they shoot it with lasers?
Shoot lasers
well,
at
that
it?
hardly makes it a robot then.
I mean, I'll move if you shoot lasers at me.
A laser is a convenient way to do it because we can focus the light to a very tiny spot and we can scan the spot around to illuminate different parts of the robot's body. Interesting. He said the robots could be used eventually for surgical purposes or making repairs to small-scale machines.
Listen, if you already have a laser that will control this thing, just use the laser in surgery.
Yeah, what's the robot? It's not like it has appendages it can grab. What is it going to do?
I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. It's like it reminds me of those like really cheap like frogs that you push down on the butt and it jumps. You know, like that's what this is. You shine a laser on the legs and it'll move that leg.
Now, I want to ask him. I want to challenge this guy. What is it going to do in surgery? He's just like,
So justify the cost of this. Well, I mean, surgery and fixing things. Like other miniature robots.
But how does it? So it can't grab, and it's not like all it can do is walk.
It's not like it can suture, and it can jump.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
that should cure cancer,
right?
then.
Yes, absolutely.
What we're gonna do is
By
we're gonna
surgery.
take a tiny robot.
And
We're gonna shoot it with a laser, and it's gonna jump.
It jumps on your fatty liver,
and that should get rid of your leukemia. So
give it some time.
Yeah,
give it some time. You might die before it's cured, but by God, it'll be cured.
Turning back to Australian teens in Australia. This is a South Australian schoolboy is
desperately want to make love to a schoolboy.
A South Australian schoolboy boys. Wait, this sentence is wrong. A South Australian schoolboys tonight waiting to hear. I don't understand.
Maybe it's the I think the is throwing it off. Maybe.
Okay. South Australian schoolboys tonight waiting to hear if he's broken a new world record after finding an enormous porcini mushroom in the Adelaide Hills.
Oh, wow.
An Australian 14-year-old is waiting to hear back from Guinness about whether the nearly 6-pound mushroom we found is the largest in the world. Jasper Less said he found the 5.8-pound porcini mushroom while walking home from school.
It was 6 pounds, but him and his friends got high.
Is it that kind of mushroom?
They
Did
tried.
he find it in cow poop?
They tried. Turned out they didn't get high, so then they called Guinness.
I was just amazed. I'd never seen one that big before, or even close to being that
So
big.
the first thing I did is I ripped it out of the ground so it wouldn't grow anymore.
I have a question. You see a giant something. Do you automatically think, oh, that's a world record? Like, if you're not a mushroomologist,
right?
You're just a kid, a 10-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid walking, you're like, oh, my God.
I bet
bet that's a world record. That's the biggest mushroom I've ever seen.
I'm going to go rip it out of the ground so it can't grow anymore, and then I'm going to call Guinness. This kid is going to grow up to hunt trophy animals.
There's something sketchy about this whole story.
Yeah.
This is a plant. It's not a real mushroom. But I tell you what, I bet it leaves a hell of a mushroom stamp. That was so stupid. I'm so sorry.
One hell of a mushroom stamp.
Oh.
Oh, it's good.
Anyway, it's random headlines.
Those were good. I liked those.
So I was thinking the other day about O.J. Simpson. And
in his football career?
No,
Oh.
I was actually thinking about the worst thing he actually did. And what is it, when you think of O.J. Simpson? What is the worst thing that comes to mind that he has done?
He killed 2 people.
No, I'm talking about the worst thing he did.
I mean, it was kind of dickish to write a book about it after he was
no,
exonerated.
This is much worse. Because I don't know if you knew this, but O.J. had a team of lawyers.
Yeah.
One of those lawyers is named Robert Kardashian.
Right.
And I think it's safe to say that without Robert Kardashian being a lawyer in this case, the Kardashians don't become famous.
That is quite the butterfly effect.
O.J. Simpson has
He's
plagued
responsible.
us with the Kardashians.
Kardashians and the plague of reality television. And,
Of people who
vocal fry
actually don't know how to do anything except be stupid and
right.
marry Kanye West.
That is very interesting.
And frankly,
So if you could go back in time and do anything,
if I were Ron, last name, Ron
Goldman,
I would go back to court because he can't get him on anything else, but he might.
It's true.
He might be able to get him on this.
If I wouldn't go back in time and kill Hitler, but I would prevent Robert Kardashian from joining the legal
trial.
team.
Well, I would say killing Hitler could have a massive effect on what we have now,
That's true.
technology-wise. Killing, or at least making it where Robert Kardashian isn't there, could actually make us more intelligent. It could. A whole generation of people would have something other to else to watch besides keeping up with the Kardashians.
Sure.
And it may increase some intelligence levels, and who knows, we could have cured cancer. I think it's safe to say that cancer isn't cured because of O.J. Simpson.
That's fair. I think it's fair.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about this.
I concur.
And one other thing to talk about here, a reputable news company right here has put out a timeline of Tucker Carlson's life. And I just found it so fascinating that I wanted to share it all with you. Fox News host Tucker Carlson, the nation's most watched, capable pundit. Sorry. Oh, my God, we've been doing this for... Let me start
Cable?
over. Shut up.
Not capable.
Oh, see, these are the kind of mistakes I was making at the show. I thought it was because I was nervous. It must just be because I'm stupid. Fox News host Tucker Carlson, the nation's most watched cable pundit, has built a career as a lightning rod for controversy. Here is a look at the key events of his life and career. In 1976, Tucker's mother leaves his family to live a bohemian life of freedom and art, which surely has no connection to his hatred for women. In 1978, first time referring to homeless as freeloaders. Tucker, it's his first time referring to homeless as freeloaders.
Okay.
In 1983, Tucker attends Elite Rhode Island boarding school, where he first experiments with talking over everyone else. In 1991, he tries but fails to land a job at the CIA, a move that likely either saved or doomed the United States. In 2001, he joins CNN's Crossfire, which features a liberal and a conservative quibbling over the small details of running a violent empire they both largely approve of. In 2006, he loses Dancing with the Stars after reporting partner Ellen Grinko to ICE. In 2006, retires signature bow tie after seeing black person on the street wearing one. In 2009, he joins Fox News to bring a conservative viewpoint to the network. And then we skip all the way up to 2021. Has Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse on program to chide him for letting one of his victims get away. And then in 2031, we're expecting him to be considered Fox News' most moderate host. And that, of course, was brought to you by The Onion.
Sorry if you thought it was true. Hopefully you caught on.
I'm sure that you all know that The Onion is America's finest news source after all. It says it right on their homepage. The Onion, America's finest news source.
Oh, man.
Well,
what a piece of shit.
He really is, Brian. He really is. He's pretty much the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
After Ted Cruz, Mike Lee.
Oh, man. Ted Cruz, did you see him getting accosted?
What, people telling him to go to Cancun?
He got berated by a guy in a restaurant, and the people had to hold the guy back.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, because it was just yesterday, or 2 days ago, after the shooting in Houston at the NRA convention.
Oh, he went, huh?
Yeah, of course he went.
He didn't just send a message like Governor Abbott?
Yeah, of course he went. Also, I have something to say about one quick thing. There's been a list circulating of representatives and senators who've got the most money from the NRA, and Mitt Romney's at the top.
Oh, really?
It should be noted, though, I don't often stand up for Republicans, but I'm okay with Mitt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Well,
Should be noted.
He's not a psychopath.
Right. It should be noted that he didn't take any money for the NRA when he ran for Congress. All $13 million that he got from the NRA was when he was running against Barack Obama.
Oh.
So, just so you know, he's not bought the way that,
I don't think he would do it now. I don't think he would take any money from the NRA
I don't think
at this
so either.
point. I think that he is so disenfranchised with what's happened with Republicans, he has a hard time calling himself a Republican, frankly.
I agree.
Which is why he calls himself a, traditional Republican, or there's a new term for it.
Right. Traditional conservative.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because, man, these people. But it is nice to see a lot of them losing out.
Yeah.
Especially, what was it, Georgia?
Oh, dude, and Madison Cawthorn lost. We didn't even talk about Mad Dog losing. Sorry, I called him Mad Dog, which is Madison, our guest, who's been on the show before. It's his nickname.
Right.
No, Madison Cawthorn lost his primary, which is just probably one of the sweetest bits of news.
Yeah.
I've heard in a long time. So
it's good.
Good job to North Carolina voters.
Yeah. This next election may be more interesting than. Or it may be less of a landslide Republican than people were predicting.
I hope so.
At least maybe not Trump Republicans, which in my book would be.
Yeah, it'd be okay to go back. Just go back to when things were a little bit.
Just a little bit tense, not like.
Go back to Bush.
Please. 9/11,
Yeah.
Iraq.
Please.
Bring it on. Those were the good times. I'm gonna get canceled.
Oh my gosh. Oh well, thanks for being here, everybody. The show is brought to you by Scary Parrot Media.
And the letter A.
And
for anus.
It's produced by Spencer and me, and recorded by Spencer and me, and directed by
John, actually.
Right. Find us at the Arctic Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok for episode 127. I'm Brian.
I am Spencer. We'll see you next time.